What?
Oh, all right, ladies and
That's something on my
gentlemen.
screen.
Is it my left or right? This camera makes everything backwards. Over
Well, if
there,
you're looking at the screen, it'd be your left. Wait.
we got
No.
Chris Watson, antidote of a houndsman.
Top left corner. Top left corner. Top
Down
left
there, we got
Down there.
old Grandmaster Mr. Benny Griffen.
Oh,
And then we got our spiritual leader here tonight. Keep us straightened out. John, how do I say your last name?
Jones.
Jones. That's hard to say, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a hard one.
Wayne
then,
just coming in hot. Wayne's coming in hot already
who's
on the comments. You can borrow my alarm clock if we were
we
we were
already
in
got
time.
people criticizing
We
us.
were on time.
I was using a sundial.
We've had some complaints about our audio that me and Chris blow everybody away, and then Benny's quiet and everybody else is quiet. So you guys in the chat, let us know who's quiet and who's loud, and
Yeah.
we'll see if we can fix it this time. Look at George. I put George up here and he's still not here. He must be in a bad spot.
Oh, he's coming up.
Looked
Can we
like he
hear
was
him?
at his dad's house.
Can we hear you, George? Can't even hear him. Just a black spot.
Is that one of those black holes, a wormhole?
It's just a black hole. There we go. Chris, I'll replace Cody for a few days. What is that?
Come on
What is
over, Cody. I just had a video come out. She's a whiny little baby all the time.
Moving towards your mic. Move back.
I'm
You're
not.
loud.
Man, you guys you switched everything, and now I gotta suffer for it. Listen,
See, but-
Nicholas told me you have to spit at your mic if it's working right. But mine's 2 feet away from me.
Well, that's when you're doing it with Nicholas. That's not here on this one. You don't be spitting at your mic. Because Benny can't spit at his mic. He's too far away.
No.
So I have to adjust the audio for Benny. And then
we all suffer.
Well, I adjust
We
the
all
audio
suffer.
on my end for Benny, and then everybody else has to adjust on their end to fit that. Sorry.
As long as Benny's happy. We
We got to make. He'll get his spear out and get to stomping people. Anybody got anything going on this week? Did you do anything interesting, Chris?
I shot my bow today that they got me for my birthday, my traditional longbow. I
How'd
finally
that-
got the arrows I needed. I got everything I needed. I dialed it in like YouTube told me to, all those guys on YouTube. And
Tell me the
didn't
story
do
about
bad.
right hand and left hand longbows.
I think my mic's about going out or something. What?
What's the difference between a right hand and a left hand longbow?
The way you put the string on. Listen. So my kids got me. Here's the story. I'll make it try as quick and painless for myself as I can. They bought me a longbow, and I just said, "Give me a longbow. All you guys get together, give me a longbow." And they did, and they spent like $500 on a longbow. I'm like, I sent them a picture of one of a recurve that was like $140, but they had already bought the longbow for $500. So now they're all mad. They could have just spent $140 on me. Now they get it in. The way it came, the string was kind of there. I just bent it, put the string on. I hold it up. I say, it's a left hand. No, it's a right hand. I swear, I ordered a right hand. I hold it up. I'm like, look, it's a left hand. Like, it's right here. It's a left hand. So I call. They get it from Bass Pro Shops, ordered it online. I call over there. They said, just bring it in. That's all we need is her number. I bring it in. So I unstring it. It's in my truck. I take it to the valley from where my job is 32 miles. I drive 32 miles all the way to Bass Pro Shop. I set it on the counter, and as God is my witness, as soon as I set it down, I was the dumbest son of a gun. I said, how did that bow just become a right hand? I'm not getting it. It really wigged me out because I didn't figure it out. But So when they sent it to me, the string was on the back side of it, and I just strung it. And when I held it up, it was on the right side. The shelf was on the right side. It's a left-hand bow. But when I set it down, I realized that I had strung it backwards. And they, don't you? You better shut up, Johnny. Don't be rubbing your head. The honest mistake. Listen, I'm not a bow guy. I'm not a bow guy. Anyways,
they
as soon
tell
as
you?
I set it down, well, I didn't even. I was holding. I said, "Hey, I need to talk to a bow guy. Give me a bow guy down here and explain some stuff to me." And I set it down. I said, "Oh dang!" I knew I was stupid, you know. And he got there and said, "Hey man, I'm dumb." So I said, "Here, just get."
You got to be the only guy in history to ever string one up backwards.
Hey, it's a longbow. They're straight. They don't like you can string it, but I could shoot it left-handed if I wanted to.
You know, you're lucky you didn't shoot your eye out.
I haven't yet.
So,
Yeah.
are you gonna hunt something with this longbow?
I want to kill a bear with it this year.
Really?
I do. So
Have you hunted?
I went-
Have you hunted with a compound bow or a recurve in the past?
Yeah, I got a really nice compound, and it's 70 pounds. And my kids bought me a 55-pound longbow, and so I'm on Facebook on the traditional, bow hunting site. And I said, "Hey, this is what I have," and everybody's like, "You're kind of stupid. Like 55 pounds? No. Start with 30." And I'm all, "Listen, I got a 55-pound. I know it's not the same as a compound bow, but he goes, "Well, can you hold it 5 seconds, 3 to 5 seconds?" I said, "Yeah." So today I got my arrows. I bought some arrows. I got it lined up. I got it a quarter. I did everything you're supposed to do. And actually, I did pretty good. I even strung it the right way too.
Safest bear in the country.
And it is a bear bow, so
That's cool though. I've
Hey.
always been fascinated with like the longbows.
So here's the deal on the longbows. It's just like anything else. When you put something on the internet, you have 350 opinions, and there's only about 3 that match up. So I guess you just take those 3 and go with it. But I did everything. I shot it. I'm gonna tell you, aiming is ridiculously crazy because where you think you're gonna aim, you think you're gonna put that arrow right there on the target, but you don't. You're putting it like right here when you're sighting, and then you got to find out where you're gonna be, and then they call it
Your anchor point.
instinct shooting.
Yeah.
I'm
Call
gonna
it
say you have to
instinct
get
shooting.
instinct.
Yeah. So it's not like a regular bow where you can hold. Well, you can. Some people do, but they say you get instinct shooting where you're just pop. So that's how I'm teaching myself. And my pattern was ridiculously big at first, but I've never shot one before. So I had to learn. So at 10 yards, I shot. Then I went to 20 yards and shot, and then back to 10. So my group was like on a hay bale. It was all over the place. Luckily, I got a big squeeze out there. But it started coming in. I'm probably like the squeeze of hay. 64 bells. You know how you order a squeeze of hay?
No, they don't know that stuff over here.
We don't have hay squeezes over here.
What do you call them?
I don't know.
We have 2-wire bales.
We got 2-wire bales. We got 3-string bales. We got half-ton bales, and we got 1-ton bales.
Well, yeah, a squeeze is 4 tons. Well, it's usually only 2.5, depending on the farmer if he's Jewish or not. But so it's 64 bells. So it's a big block of hay.
And they have those. They do. I've seen. When I worked over there in Tucson, I seen when they deliver those things with those things.
Mm-hmm.
Then I know what you're getting at. But they don't do that here. I mean, yeah.
That's the only way I order it. And when I pick it up and take it up the mountain, I'll take it over to my guy. He'll bring his little loader over, set it down, take half, put it on this part of the trailer, take the other half, so I don't have to handle it too much. I have to throw a few bells on the bottom, depending on the trailer I have.
So you guys over there in Arizona are just a little bit lazy.
Yes, we are. Hey, listen, I used to
smart.
64. So he used to just bring it to my dad's house where I'm staying, and I'd back my trailer up to it, and I'd load it by myself, 64 bales, and I'd set it even on my trailer where I had a little weight on the front. But then once I figured out he could do that, yeah, 49 years old.
I hauled when I was in high school. I hauled hay. I had a flatbed trailer and a pop-up loader, and we hauled hay from the field to the stack. 17 cents a bale. Benny, you got anything interesting going on?
I bet Timothy said, I bet Benny can use his left-handed spear with his right hand.
He's
True, Benny?
ambidextrous.
I don't want to let on how many spears I have.
The ATF will be after you. There he is.
Hey, he's not frozen.
No, he's there. Looks good. Can we hear him? George?
He froze again.
He
He's
froze
frozen.
again.
Oh, Wayne must be, he's from Australia. He says, you guys in North America are out in the woods more than anyone. So if there are any strange creatures out there in the bush, you should know.
We're
You're
going
in
to get to
Australia,
that here in a
I
minute.
know.
I think those people in Australia have a lot more dangerous, strange creatures out in the bush.
We got weird ones. So
Well,
They
they're
got
weird.
those birds that kill you.
They're weird to us. I mean, we got stuff that'll kill you, but we don't think about it because we was raised with it.
Yeah.
You know, they wouldn't. They'd think we was crazy for chasing mountain lions and black bear and rattlesnakes and stuff like that. So
I guess
don't
so.
know.
It's all what you're used to.
What's Benny
I
been
don't know.
doing?
What have you been doing, Benny? Tell us. Give us a
I've
little
been-
intro to Benny's life this last week.
I've been laying around the house taking medication.
You've been ill, huh?
Yeah, I got the crud, and it went into my sinuses and my bronchial
Oh.
tubes. And I think I about got it whipped. If I pass out, my first wife is over here still, so she'll be able to shut my phone off and get me some ambulance.
We
She'll just
want,
kick-
we want it
she'll
left on.
She'll just kick you to the side and she'll take your place.
Hey, come
George
over
just
here.
ain't going to make
Let me give you a proper introduction.
Just in case?
Yeah, just in case.
No.
Come on.
His first wife. How about John? We haven't had you on here in a month of Sundays,
Month.
John.
the working man.
Been a couple weeks. I've been at work, but I guess I'm laid up for a couple days. My Achilles tendon's messed up again.
What'd you do to it?
Just got out of bed yesterday morning and it was hurting again.
Called age.
It'd been bothering me a little bit. You know, a month ago, I had to go see an orthopedic over it, and they put me in a boot and stuff. And I went back to work when I had to go back and limped around for a few days, and it kept getting better. And I got out of bed. Yeah, I mean, it'd been bothering me a little bit the last few days, but I got out of bed yesterday, and it was hurt. The longer yesterday went, the worse it got. Probably shouldn't have worn my cowboy boots to church, but I did. That probably didn't help anything. But
The best thing, I think, you need to go barefoot.
they told me to keep weight off my heel.
George says he's not going to make it. His internet's not good enough. I told him I wanted him on here. I wanted to hear a good story from him, but
I wanted him on here to tell the story about Bigfoot. We got Bigfoot started while we were up there.
that's what I wanted to hear. You can tell it, can't you, John?
Well, I mean, I guess I can tell it.
Let me say about my week first, because I had a good week. I had a rancher have a picture of a lion on a game camera, and I went up there. Of course, I went up there on foot because I didn't have a mule I could ride at the time. 16 hours. We trailed the lion. Matter of fact, I called Benny just because I wanted him to hear my excitement. Didn't catch the lion, but I trailed that female lion all day long from about 10, I guess, in the morning until about 4 o'clock. It was pretty good. Dogs did real well. You know, dry ground, no snow, nothing, and me on foot. And then I had another one Friday. And this was the difference between like 6,000 foot elevation up there. And then this one was down here in the desert. What is it? 3,000 foot elevation, something like that. And I could trail her just in this one little tight canyon. Had a lot of rock in it and everything. And I trailed, and then I wandered around and tried to guess where she went, but I never could find her. That's the only excitement about her this week. So anyway, John, tell us a story about Bigfoot in the Virginia mountains.
Well, when I went up hunting with George, he had I think he was a younger cousin, second or third cousin, like his cousin's boy or something. And he had been aggravating them all week. I mean, he'd just been picking on them and aggravating them, and they were getting aggravated with him. And he got running his mouth that he could walk with George in the mountains. He could walk with George. So George made him get out of the truck, and he put a collar on the boy's backpack, and come on. George walked up and he gave him a radio, and George gave him radio, and they took off. Well, George just flat walked off and left him, and kept telling him. And he's probably 10 or 11. He just kept telling him, walk downhill. We was all listening to it on the radio. And he got saying, what was that? What was that? Was that you, George? Was that you? And George said, nope, that wasn't me. I'm not near you. Keep coming. Oh, I heard something over there. What was that? Are you hiding from me? You're hiding behind that tree, aren't you? George said, no, just keep walking. Well, we got the hollering on the radio. You know, it could be a Sasquatch. Could be a Bigfoot. I don't believe in Bigfoot. And George said, you know, there's an older guy told me he seen a Bigfoot up here carrying a baby on its back one time. He said, real close, just like a ridge over from here. I don't believe in Bigfoot. George ended up like a mile and a half from him down the mountain. George ended up having to go get him because we ended up scaring him on the radio talking about
Bigfoot. By the end of the day, he was believing in Bigfoot.
Oh, he'd say, he finally got to, y'all guys don't scare me. I'm not afraid to. It wasn't long till he said, guys, stop it. I'm terrified. And I felt really bad then. And George said his dad felt really, well, I did hear George's dad. He told me, he said, I felt really bad by then. So we told him it was all right. We was just picking on him. But George was coming to get him. And he wasn't far from the road, but couldn't get him to listen. George said, walk downhill. And he'd say, do I need to go up on that ridge over there? And George would say, walk downhill. Walk down the mountain. Well, do I need to go over there on that ridge where the snow's at? George said, walk down the mountain. No, it was in the middle of the day, Louisiana hunting. And this was in Virginia, Mike Gray. But he said, George told him, said, all right, I know where you're at. I can see you. Walk down the creek bed. Well, do I need to go over there? George said, walk down the creek. Well, what about over here? Do I need to go over that way? George said, walk down the creek. But we had a good time picking on him. But
he made it out okay, though.
Yeah, he made it out okay. We picked on him. George knew right where he was at the whole time. He had him on
Oh,
GPS.
He had him on a tracker.
Yeah, he put a collar on his butt bag so he could keep up with him. He knew right every step he took. So he knew right where he was at. And everybody that had a tracker could keep up with him, knew right where he was at. I didn't have the number for the collar. I had my Garmin, but I didn't have the collar with the number for that collar. So
I don't know if I probably told this story before. I had a couple guys come down and hunt with me, and we got, the dogs were trailing. They went down this old rough canyon, and I knew I couldn't get down that canyon. I said, we got to climb up this mountain here and go over the top. And they said, no. I said, we think we can get down this canyon. And I said, no. I said, I've been through there. You can't get through there. And they said, yeah, we think we can get through there. I said, all right. And I took off and I went over the top, went down the other side, and they were from Oklahoma. And I got down there a ways, and dogs had to lose, and we were trying to figure it out. Man, a couple hours went by. Finally, I looked back, and here they came. They were coming over my tracks, coming over there, and I was sitting down there waiting for them. And and one of my young dogs hadn't come with me. Didn't come with me, just stayed with them. And I looked at that dog and I said, "Where's the collar? Where's the tracking collar for that dog?" And Josh had that collar hung around a horn on his saddle. I said, "You took the collar off my dog?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "I didn't know if you'd come look for us, but I knew you'd come look for that dog."
Josh Rainwater.
Yes, exactly,
Yeah,
Josh.
I think Josh told me that story. He said I knew Brett would come look for that dog.
I was going to be upset, but then I got tickled at him. That was the same time, speaking of stories, things that happens, that was the same time that I probably told this story too, that the one kid went and looked in that mine shaft and jumped a bear out of there. That was not hibernating. He was doing what, Chris?
Brumation.
He was under brumation. So there you go. But anyway, we thought instead of totally always talking about hound dogs and everything, that we might just discuss strange things that's happened to us while we were out and about. I told Chris, I've had a few strange things happen, and Chris did too. And we know Benny has. He is a strange things that happens out there.
He's the guy behind that tree the 11-year-old's looking at.
Benny, have you ever seen Bigfoot?
No.
Why not?
I guess I wasn't in Virginia.
So tell us a story. What have you had any like strange experiences while you were out there? And
I was headed to, Justin Marks lived at Red Creek Ranch in Bloody Basin, northeast of Phoenix, for a long time. And I was over there all the time. And I was headed over there one time, and there was a car. Now, let's see, it was about maybe 2 hours, 2.5 hours of dirt road once you left the pavement at Cave Creek to get to the ranch. So, it was pretty slow traveling. You didn't see very many people out there. And I was out in the middle of nowhere, and I saw a car. Looked like it had gone across the road. It was in the oncoming side of the dirt road, piled up in the bar ditch, and it had California plates on it. And I thought, well, that's a weird place to leave your car, and just like that. And so there was nobody around. I kept going, and this was in the summertime, and it was pretty hot over there on the desert. I see a guy walking along, and he's got polyester slacks, and he's got a nice shirt on, and you expect a guy like this to have a tie. He didn't have a tie, but he didn't have a cap on either, and his head looked like the preacher's head right there. But it was the same color as mine when I was putting that skin dope on it, all that. It was beat red, and this guy, I pulled over and I said, "Hey, can I help you?" And he was real delirious. He was out of his head a little bit. And he says, "Have you got some water?" So I gave him a canteen full of water, and he's walking around my pickup, and he comes over there and he says, "I was trying to get to Arizona. How'd I get to New Mexico?" I said, "No, you're in Arizona." He says, "Well, your pickup says New Mexico." I said, "Well, that's where I came from. You're in Arizona. Why don't you get in and let me help you?" "Well, I don't know." He says, "I sure am hot." And then I watch him, and he opens up my fuel door and takes my fuel cap off, and he's going to pour that water down in my diesel tank. That's going to go over well, So I jump out, "Hey, hey, 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 give me that." And
fixing to
that
stomp.
takes me, oh man, it takes me about 5 minutes to get him calmed down and get in the pickup. And I turn on the air conditioner wide open and put it right on him. He's in the passenger side, and he reclines back and falls asleep. So when I get to the ranch, I gotta stop and open the gate. When I stop and open the gate, I go back to the pickup. Well, he's out and he's walking off into nowhere. I go grab him. Hey, we're not there yet. We're not there. We're almost to Arizona. I'm playing that on him, you know. And I just drive around to the barn and the shop and don't even go to the house. And I tell them these guys, hey, I got this guy, and tell them a little bit. And Justin looks up and he says, "Is that him going down through there?" He was headed to the houses. I said, "Yeah," and he's not right in his mind. So we run down there. We get him to stop out behind Justin's house, and he's hanging on to a tree. And we tell him the shade is Arizona and the sun is New Mexico. He needs to stay in Arizona. And so he just hangs onto that tree, and we're trying to figure out what to do. Well, here in a minute, he picks up I don't remember, like a cedar post or something. It was a pretty stout piece of wood. And he gets on the hook and he's going to start thumping on us. And so Justin, he says, "Hey, we need to get our catch ropes. We don't need him getting in the house." Justin's wife and two little kids were in the house, you know. And we get him corralled inside the fence in the yard. And they get on the radio they had and called somebody in Mesa and said, "Hey, call the sheriff and send them out here." And so we haven't roped the guy, but we're doing everything to keep him contained and constrained without actually tying him down. And when the sheriff gets there, he recognizes the sheriff as authority and he calms down. And you know, that knucklehead sheriff, the first thing he asked him, "Did these guys hold you against your will?" I mean, you hear these stories all the time over there on the desert. People just wander out there, they get delirious, and they die.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing that sheriff was wondering if we held him there against his, well, man, what if we'd have roped him? But
Held him, tied him up against his will.
Yeah. And, you know, and I was 18 and I lost a 16-year-old friend out there around Lake Pleasant in the summer from that very thing. He got his car stuck and he tried to walk out. And 3 days later, the search party found his buddy. And so they had a general direction where to look, and they found Brad up on the mountain about 4 miles from there that morning, an hour later.
Dehydrated or?
Yeah, and he had taken his clothes off, and they never found his clothes where he shed them, and
got delirious.
He had shot. They found, we all had 10-22 Rugers back then, you know, for plinking and fun, and they found where he had shot that rifle. Where he died, you could look down through the valley and see the search party, you know, set up on the highway, and where he died. There, he had shot that rifle several times trying to get their attention. They found the spent casings there, and then nobody ever found that rifle. There's all kinds of weird stuff that takes place.
So the rifle was gone. They found him, but they never found the rifle.
Yep.
So was there any other sign of foul play or anything going on?
No, you know, and that's what I've always wondered. One of those searchers that found him went back and got that later. I don't know if that's the case or not, you know. And at the end of this deal, that doesn't really matter. It'd be nice for the family to have their gun back, but at the same time, you know, that gun's not going to replace Brad.
But did they determine the cause of death or?
Yeah, exposure.
It was exposure. Huh.
Yeah, it was June 10th of 1978.
Wow.
Well, what about the other guy? Did they ever get him straightened out?
Yeah,
You know?
they called, his name was John. I don't know if that's any correlation or not, but his name was John, and they got a hold of his daughter in California. They had been worried about him, and they took him to town, and somebody came after his car, and everybody went home alive and well.
Dang.
You never know what you're going to find, and I'm kind of a magnet for all kind of weird things.
I could,
Doesn't
I could,
surprise me.
I could tell you 100 stories. I could tell you 100 stories just like that
Well,
because I was with.
why? Well, you kind of worked in search and rescue or something, didn't you, Chris?
Mhm. Yeah, Pinal County. Yep. We
You might
found,
you
and
might
there's
have to move your mic closer. There, it's like it's coming and going. Do you guys notice that?
Yeah.
this better?
Just yeah, just
A little
speak
better.
quietly.
I'll, I'll try. Yeah, I mean,
Like this.
and a lot of it was elderly people. What happens is on I-10, there's one road they would just turn off of, and it just led you to the desert, and then they get stuck in the sand because they try to cross the washes. So I did just in that area alone. We did a lot of searches, and there was a couple that went out. We found the husband, but we didn't find the old lady, and they didn't find her for 3 months. And
Jeez.
yeah, and she was. Everybody thinks the coyotes will eat you, but them coyotes don't really eat humans. I've never seen it out there. And she was. You could literally. She was just so. She's out there for 3 months, and it was more. She was dehydrated out to where
Just
she
a
only weighed probably. It was like 20 pounds of a body. Like
yeah,
mummified.
more like a mummy.
And
Yeah.
it and it's sad to see that. I think the worst one, like when you grow up with that, you're just used to it. If I see a dead body now, it's like, yeah, whatever. But I think the worst one is a guy had got stuck out there, and I was a man tracker. That's what we did is we tracked, and I would teach like the sheriff's office and the border patrol. They'd come out and we'd give classes on how to man track. So we backtracked. We found his car stuck in a wash, and we backtracked him, and we found him, and he was face down in the wash, and you could tell he struggled. You know, where he'd moved around in his head, and he's face down.
What? So what was the cause of that? What I mean,
He just
dehydration or
yeah,
exposure?
70 years old, exposure, just passed out, probably face down in the sand. You know, so and then you're not putting him in an ambulance. You're putting him in back of a 1980 Toyota or whatever you got out there, search and rescue, trying to get him out of there. You know, but he was so fresh that rigor mortis hasn't set in. We were tracking at night, dropping glow sticks behind us in case we had to backtrack out. So a lot of them, Superstition Mountains, lady had died in her car, and when you're in 120-degree weather, and they're that car's not 120 degrees, Grandson?
It does. Yep.
Or,
This is one of my neighbors.
Oh,
He still thinks I'm a good guy. He's young.
I was gonna say he must not know you well yet.
never seen you stomp anybody.
Yeah, but a body in 120-degree weather in a car is not fun to put away.
No.
No,
You're not. It's not TV. You're not just grabbing her arms and legs.
Thank you.
Using a shovel. So you see a lot of that out there, though. The desert's unforgiving. You'll freeze at night and overheat in the same day. The same day.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
Dehydrate.
exactly right.
You'll almost die of exposure and then freeze at night. Like it
Mhm.
almost die of heat stroke and then freeze at night. So
I
lots of those.
I I had one time we got a skiff of snow here. I mean, it's probably a half an inch, but it covered the ground. This was back when I had the farm down by Rincon, and I jumped in my buggy, and of course, running around looking for a lion track everywhere. Come to find out, when it snows down here in the desert, everything else is smart. They don't move for a couple of days because they know it's going to go away anyway. So I mean, everything. I never found anything, but I went up up there by the radio towers, a little road that winds up through there, and it was fresh snow, and I got up through there, and I came over, and there's a big saddle, and that road goes down to that big saddle. And I drove down there, and I seen a truck that was back down the mountain a little ways, and I seen there was rocks underneath the tires, and I could tell it was stuck, but I didn't see any tracks going up there. And of course, I was in the buggy, and I just pulled up to the front of that truck, and I seen the guy was leaned over through the driver's side windshield or window, and he was leaned inside. And of course, I just turned off the buggy and hollered. I said, "Hey, you need some help?" No answer. And I said, "Hey, do you need some help?" No answer. And I thought he was ignoring me. I thought he was looking for something in the seat of his pickup. And so I got out of the buggy, walked up and looked inside the windshield. And boy, it only takes once. And I mean, I looked at him, and the guy was like green. And I said, "Oh, man, this guy's dead." And so, of course, the phone didn't work there. I had to drive up on top of the hill, and I called, 911, said, "Hey," told them where I was and everything. Said, "I found a guy that's dead." And they said, "Are you sure?" I said, "Well, yeah, I'm pretty sure." I didn't take his pulse or anything, but I'm pretty sure he was gone. And then they sent a state cop up there right away, pulled up, and he parked. He parked a long ways from the truck, and he got down there, and he walked way around the truck like that. I hollered at him. I said, "He ain't gonna hurt you." I said, "You can get closer than that." And he just walked around. He come up and interviewed me and everything. Pretty soon they came. Ended up, I found out later the guy had been up there and he got stuck. The snows came in. He was lost, and because I was curious to find out what happened. And the snows came in. It snowed, and he tried to turn around. And he got stuck, and he was trying to get out. Had a heart attack and died right there. And probably stress. Probably got stressed out being stuck up there and everything, and trying to get out and panicked, and ticker went on him. So he was. I think they said he's like a 74-year-old man or something like that. That's the only
better than a hospital.
That's the only bodies I found.
We had a guy, a friend of ours, her dad, his 80s, he disappeared Saturday night here, and they found him yesterday morning. He was still fine. He was okay, but he was 85 miles away from where he was going Saturday evening. He got on the interstate and drove 85 miles the wrong way.
Dementia? Does he have dementia? Or just...
don't know what happened. I've not got to talk to him. They were just, yesterday they were looking for him, and if you'd look on my Facebook, you'd see where I shared a couple posts where they were looking for him. And he come to the town we live in. They live away from the interstate. He come to the town that we live in and to get gas Saturday night, and they said they know he got gas there. And then he used his card now down near the Tennessee line later that evening, and they didn't think it was him because they didn't expect him to do that. And somebody called in that there was an elderly gentleman walking in the medium down in Tennessee. It was 50 miles down in Tennessee side. Found him walking in the median. But he was alive and nobody knows. And it was fairly cool here Saturday night. It probably got down in the upper 30s, but cool enough that a 80-some-year-old man didn't need to be out walking around in a jacket and a baseball cap. So.
No. But he was okay.
Yeah, I think everything's okay. I've not bothered them, trying to let them get everything processed.
The last she heard was that he was home and there was going to have to be a lot of changes made.
Oh, okay. So they've brought him home. I don't know if you heard that or not. So they brought him home. So
yeah.
Her sister had talked to her. So. But
Wayne?
you don't ever know when you go out what you're going to run into.
Man, here's a good story. Let's brighten up the conversation here. This is kind of getting.
I wanted to know what a yowie is.
A yowie.
Yeah,
Wayne. I want to know where this treasure is.
That's in North Carolina, I think. I think that Blackbird Forest is in North Carolina. Blackbird Kennels can tell us, I think, but pretty sure that a yowie is is Australia's version of a Bigfoot. I might be wrong, but
Oh, that's right. On my other channel, that's a real common question I get is, have I ever come across a Bigfoot? Have I ever seen signs of a Bigfoot or a Sasquatch? I always say, man, if there was
No.
one out there, I'm pretty sure my dogs would have trashed on one by now.
oh, he says Pennsylvania. I thought all the Blackbird stuff was in North Carolina. So he's just Pennsylvania. That's just on up the eastern coast of it.
That's funny he brought that up because all day today, I even called Brett about it today. We talked about it, about all the treasures and stuff right here, right where I live. It's the Estrella Mountains, Sierra Estrellas. And Don Joaquin this was back in the 1840s or 50s, tried to outrun the army, had a gold mine there and buried his gold somewhere, shot the native guy, the Indian guy that was with him, because it was just them two burying it, met up with his men. His men shot him, took his map, and supposedly a couple of years tried to come back. They couldn't find all the gold they buried. A lot of that treasure stuff. If you just look up probably Pennsylvania treasure or Arizona or New Mexico buried treasure, there's a lot of stories. Look at the biggest one is the Lost Dutchman mine in Arizona. Jacob Waltz, the Lost Dutchman mine
in Arizona. The biggest one here is Victoria Peak here on White
Right
Sands
there
Missile
by
Range.
you, Brett.
Right.
Yeah, that's
there.
right by you.
He's still looking for it.
I still don't want to tell I won't tell where I went, and then Padre LaRue. When I was young, it fascinated me to no end. And, I still got all these books on all this stuff. It's crazy. It'll get in your blood and it'll make you.
I got excited all day about it. There's a guy on the 300 road over by Payson. I just heard a story on YouTube today. Back in the 40s, they built the 300 road like in 1928, 1929. It's a huge forest road. And like in the 30s, 30s or 40s, two guys were out hunting over there, found 13 barrels of gold coins, took a handful. He went and traded one of them for some whiskey down at wherever the store. The guy shows up and says, later on, or says, hey, I want to talk to the guy who brought me that coin. And he had died in his sleep when he went. So no one knows where that is. But that's just right here. That's stuff you don't hear about.
All these mountains, the Caballos, the Fray Cristobal's, the San Andreas, all those, they all have treasure stories about them. And now this is on Mr. Ted Turner's ranch. I used to be able to hunt on it, and we caught the lion. The lion went up this crack, and we went up through there. The dogs went around, and we were going up through that crack, and it became just like hand over hand climbing. And there was a hole in that mountain, and I'm sure nobody. Well, maybe nobody has ever been there before, but there was cold air coming out of that crack, and that crack was probably about 8 inches wide and about 4 or 5 foot, like that. You couldn't get in there, and I'm climbing up through there, and that cold air was coming in there, and I stuck my head in there, and I said, "Hey!" and it went, "Hey, hey, hey." I thought, man, half of this mountain is hollow, and of course, start thinking about treasure and gold mines and everything, and old Doc Noss's treasure, because he was supposed to have taken treasure out of Victoria Peak and stashed it all over the place. I mean, there's if you look on YouTube, just look up Doc Noss or Victoria Peak treasure or the treasure of the San Andreas or whatever, and there's jillions of stories about that, and there's pictures, and it even made
they made a documentary about it.
Yeah, a documentary, and then it came out in some congressional hearings when they were talking about it and stuff, and it's a big deal. It's supposed to be, I forget, gold bars stacked like cordwood. Of course, when you start talking about gold, I guess everybody's got a little bit of that in them. They get excited.
Oh yeah,
I know I do.
That's how they found.
Is that where the guy found those gold bars that time and brought some out? And he thought they were lead to begin with until he got them out in the sunlight and scraped off of
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. I think that's probably it. Let me see if I can find that book real quick. Excuse me.
I tell you what, you don't do if you find any gold is you don't report it. You go home, you melt it down,
Well,
keep it to yourself.
the rules
You know?
are now you're not supposed to own gold no more than so much gold.
That's what I'm saying. Just just get you a little mold, make a wedding ring, and take it in and pawn it. That's how Kartchner caverns were found. They just found a little crack in the hill. Ended up being 2.5 miles of caverns.
Isn't that a little bit tyrannical? Isn't that a little bit tyrannical to tell us we can't own but so much gold?
Well, that's when you become tyrannical. That's when you become tyrannical and don't report it.
So have you ever been to the state government in any state or to any of the DC stuff on TV, or, you know, how do you know for certain that there's tyranny abound?
Hey, that is something I can say back on the Hound side. Virginia voted that out of the Senate today about what they had going on here. They were trying to stop us from. I don't know if any of y'all.
Oh, I seen that. I seen that.
They were trying to stop us from being able to turn loose from the road.
Yeah.
How would that work? I mean,
you have to walk them out.
If you rigged, you'd have to walk them up the bank 15 foot off the road. But then you'd have to try to figure out if you were going backwards or forward.
Yeah, but once you're off you just couldn't let them go off a rig. That's what they were trying to do, and they were death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah, one of the big things I think is, and George, if he was here, he'd tell us a whole lot more because he's involved in all that. But I think some of the guys up in eastern Virginia that are deer hunting have been going up on private property that they're not allowed on, cutting their dogs loose to go into thickets and run the deer out. But that, one bad apple ruins the whole bushel. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Man, we got chasing squirrels, ADD real bad, going all over the place. Yep. I keep asking everybody about Sasquatch, and we just change the subject.
Well, Jeremy filmed the UFO.
Is there a lot of Sasquatch stories in New Mexico and Arizona?
Not one that I know
of. There's some in Arizona on the reservation.
It's all up, usually up in the Northwest, isn't it? Up in Washington State and up in there.
I watch a lot of stuff on that. I watch a lot of stuff on that because it fascinates me, but I don't believe in Sasquatch or Bigfoot or whatever you want to call it. I believe there's a possibility that it's possible that a North American ape could exist, but I don't think one does. But
there's too many cameras out there. There's too many game cameras out there right now that they're not that. Maybe they are super intelligent. They'd have to be real smart not to get caught on a game camera.
You watch some of this stuff, and what they try to tell you is that those guys believe that they're connected with aliens, and that there's a connection between them and this, and that they're supernatural. And if you ever watch, like they say, the reason that you don't get a good picture of a Bigfoot and the reason you don't get good camera footage and stuff is because that they have like a magnetic field around them, and it messes cameras up.
They're interdimensional. That's what's going on. They can go from one dimension to the other.
I think
everybody knows that.
Hey, perfect. That's a nice introduction, Brett.
Mm-hmm. To what?
When I was living at Mini Farms, Arizona, on the Navajo.
Segue.
Hey, I worked in Mini Farms one time.
There's a lot of stories up on the north up there.
I was young and had my first wife still, and we had 2 kids at home. And I was a carpenter, and I knew a guy that did a lot of work, he got federal jobs working on reservations. And so he had this one up there, and it was building a roof a huge roof over the building, and that's what I did. I was the guy that built the roof, so he hired me to go up there, and I had a cab over camper that I took off my pickup and set it down on the job site, and I lived on the job site. And I didn't have enough money to run back and forth to Phoenix every weekend. It was 7 hours. And so I would go home every third weekend or something like that. And so I was the only one that didn't go home. The rest of the crew went home. One Friday night, I was bored, and I saw a big glow off on the horizon. So I jumped in my pickup and decided to go see what that was. And there was a big dirt dike, like a flood control deal, that went along. And I don't know how far I went out in the country on the backside of this dike. And I got closer and closer to that orange glow. And for some reason, when I got there close to the fire, I guess that dike was about 12 feet high. I crawled that up on that deal on my hands and knees and peered over it on my belly, just looking. And there was a big fire going in the middle of this deal. And I think there was only three. There were three guys there they were all naked except for they had these animal skins on them. And they had the animal heads on their heads, and they were doing dances, and I just got the creeps and the heebie-jeebies. And I was watching those guys, and I'd heard all the stories about the skinwalkers and the witch doctors and everything, the medicine men, or however people called them at the time. And so I was just watching them, but I was laying flat on the ground, not trying not to skyline. And all of a sudden, those guys stopped. They all three stopped at the same time, and they started looking around, and they started like they were trying to smell, and they were looking all around. And I said, "Man, they sense that I'm here." And I did the crawfish, and I squashed down that slope backwards, got in my pickup, and left out of there. And that's something that I'll never, ever, ever forget. And all the Navajo guys that I worked with, they didn't want to hear anything about that. You guys know what I saw last night? No. Or this weekend? No. You start that, we don't want nothing to do with that.
Really?
They were all creeped out too. That was in the mid 80s.
So were the guys with were they Navajos?
Yeah, they were Navajos, and they were chanting some kind of stuff and dancing and stomping their feet around that fire.
Some kind of medicine, something or whatever.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
If Benny would have had his spirit, he would have went and joined him.
Absolutely not. Not in my early 20s. No, they could have all that business.
We talk about Bigfoot, but what about Skinwalkers?
Skinwalker Ranch. What's that place all about?
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's all UFO stuff. My dad really gets into that, and I kind of make fun of it because it's always it's the same thing over and over, and they try to leave you hanging, And
Well,
me being like,
what
security
about
stuff.
What about all this stuff they're saying now about their? I mean, they have. What do they say they have? How did they put it? Was it material, or did they actually say craft that are not of this world? Have you heard that? I mean,
there's a guy on YouTube. There's a guy going around TikTok and YouTube. He's an older guy, and he's like, he's talking about all the secret sites around the United States, Area 51 being one, and how a lot of people have come out and start saying that there's a lot of stuff out there we don't know about, and it's absolutely possible. I feel like their aliens are a little bit more acceptable than Bigfoot, But
oh yeah,
they say there's underground bunkers that, man, I should have sent that to you. I don't know the guy's name. He's an older guy, but he's been on a lot of podcasts and stuff, and he's talking about all the stuff we have that we don't know about.
I seen
like
Benny
witnesses.
shake his head. Why are you shaking your head, Benny?
About what? I
about
don't know.
the aliens or the spacecraft or that kind of stuff. You shook your head. You went like that.
You know, I live over here 30 miles from Roswell,
Mhm.
and nobody knew Roswell existed until they cobbed onto this alien deal. And where whatever supposedly took place, it's not even by Roswell.
It's
They
owned by
just stole
Corona.
the idea. It's by Corona.
Yeah.
And whoever owns that ranch out there, you can pay them and they'll take you out
Yeah.
there and you can see there's nothing there where they went, and I don't know what was found. I don't know if there
Well,
was
one
anything found.
the whole story was something crashed on the guy's property, and then people showed up, took everything, and left. Right? That's kind of the gist of it.
Well,
Yeah,
and
that's the Air Force did.
then it
Mhm.
came out at first that they said this was a craft of some sort, and then they came back later on, changed it, said no, it was a weather balloon or something like that. I believe.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, and realistically, it doesn't matter to me. But Brett, remember when we were down there at the Taylor place? We were looking for Tyler because he hadn't met us at the pickup, and we were coming back to the Taylor place that night. Tyler turns out that he didn't even come over there. He just went back to the camp, and then he waited around for us till dark, and he left. But remember, we saw all that chain of lights going through the sky, and
Yep.
we all like, "Oh my gosh, what the heck is that? What the heck is that?" It was like a train, an absolute big train of lights, and they were moving. Turns out it was what's that Starlink satellite
Starlink.
stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That
But,
got
I
on
mean,
SpaceX.
we did identify it. I mean, but there's things that. What about
There's things
the
that can't
video
be
that
explained.
the Air Force had, or is it the Air Force or the Navy or whatever, of that gimbal? They called it the gimbal. That's. I mean, they've got it. They've got it on the video from the thing, and they say, "Look how fast that thing's going." This and that. Haven't y'all seen that?
I
No.
haven't seen it.
Oh man, it was who was it that talked about it? I'm trying to find
Was
something
it on
here.
Facebook? Was it on Facebook or?
No, it's been everywhere. The gimbal. Let me pull. Well, I can find it if you guys are patient. This doesn't do good for the podcast. Oh, while we're sitting here, it's brought to you
This
What
is
by
about
here.
treasure?
W Hunting Supply.
Mhm.
I'm terrible at this thing.
What kind of treasures have you guys found? I mean, you talked about gold and stuff, but I
Down
mean,
here's a neat find down in Nogales. There used to be a hospital that was down there, and my uncle was a board show agent down there. So when he's out pouncing around, he was the guy that would walk everywhere out there and lay in and catch them. Like he was, not just drive around. Um, he was kind of the dry ground lion. He was the dry ground border patrol hunter, not the snow border patrol hunter. I'll start that. Let me get that started. We can't get out of hounds.
We already got a
So he,
thumbs down from somebody.
oh, who this
I
time?
don't know.
Probably
Sorry.
Louisiana Honey.
Sorry. Always causing
So,
problems.
anyways, we would.
My,
He found like some bullets and some metals. So we went back there and started sifting behind where it used to be an old hospital, and we found all kinds of stuff, metals, little bottles of bullets. Like maybe it was hospitals like in 1912, or it was an old hospital. But we'd find plates that said 1912 on them, and just all kinds of metals. I have all kinds of metals, sharpshooter metals and buttons and bullets and just all kinds of neat stuff. Little lead, soldiers, and so that was pretty good. That's cool. But we did So me and my dad used to do a lot of. It's his fault that I kind of crazy because he's only 15 years older than I am. So when he's jumping down 1,000-foot mine at 30 years old, I'm like going down there with him. But we had rolled a car over on an old mine one time, and I found a 1-pound silver ingot under the car.
No kidding. Where was that made at or whatever?
It was a silver mine. So what happened is someone probably
High grade.
swiped it and hit it.
Oh.
Like maybe one of the workers had hit it under a wrecked car, and then maybe got fired or they got kicked out of there.
How much was it worth?
I don't know. This was back in the 90s, and we actually gave it to a ring maker, and he made a bunch of jewelry.
Oh, cool.
Out of it. So, and then, but that same mine, we used to jump the mines and go down and get the like the minerals. This particular mine had wolfenite. It's a real pretty orange
Green.
crystal. Oh, it's orange. Like real pretty.
Okay.
If you look it up, wolfenite. And this is 800 foot down. We had a tripod. We'd go down. It was like 60 to 50 feet or 50 to 60 feet down. And so you'd have to rappel down. And when we first went into this mine, my dad was going down and there was a rattlesnake halfway down in the wall.
Like True
So
Grit.
he was hanging from a rope and he was shooting at it in a mine. He didn't, want it to fall. It was kind of above him. So you go down to a first shelf and it was another, like it was 800 feet down, but we only had 600 feet of rope. So we went down 600 feet and we used a wood ladder the other couple hundred feet. And it was so cool down there. You go down there and then it was horizontal as soon as it was at it wasn't straight up and down. It was at a little angle going down. And then you hit the bottom at 800 feet and it was a horizontal shaft. And they had a bunch of shafts below that and they were all full of water. And you would actually see stuff swimming in it under there. No eyes, stuff like that.
Really?
We went down there and got a bunch of wolfenite out and bring it out.
Was it valuable, that wolfenite?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Just raw counting, I think my dad was making like $80,000 to $100,000 a year.
Really?
That big old gym show in Tucson?
Yep.
They
Been
have
there.
there. That's my dad and his buddy. He was a Papago guy, and they'd go hit that every year.
Is there any way you could do that to this day, or?
Oh yeah, you can go in a mine. We actually,
could you make money doing it, like you said?
Oh yeah.
There's
you find
people
a
who
good.
do that?
Oh, absolutely. All those people most of those people, you could tell the guys who go out there and pick all that stuff up. We was big into azurite, malachite. So they had a lot of good mines with azurite and malachite they'd go hit. And they got some big rows, azurite, malachite rows, and it's in a museum somewhere because it was so unique. But, I was in high school and I'd bring a gem book on the bus and me and my buddy would just study gems all day on the bus. We'd say the hardness and what it is, and we try to guess what it was. That's what we did as a kid. We just jumped those mines. You get all kinds of stuff out of those mines because they come in there and they strip them the minerals. You know what I mean? They just want the gold and the silver. Yeah. So you can go in there and get all the obsidian druzy, chalcopyrite. I remember my dad had a 71 Dodge 6-cylinder short bed pickup with a 3 on the tree. And he pulled in with a trailer that had like 20,000 pounds of chalcopyrite, fool's gold. And his buddy was, how they do that peacock ore where it's all the different colors. They take that chalcopyrite and you got those real pretty blue, green, and it's like a treated. My dad's buddy did that. So all of our yard was always full of fluorite and tourmaline and azurite and, had big flats everywhere that they take to the shows. That's kind of cool growing up.
You never been interested in doing that anymore?
We still do it. Like we just he was out this weekend actually in a mine chopping at it. and he found some stuff that might be worth some big money. You know.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because all these minerals and stuff that people don't want, people want, but it's just not. No one knows what they're looking at. You know, chrysocolla. Like there's chrysocolla and there's turquoise. And how you can tell the difference is you stick your tongue to turquoise, and your tongue will stick to turquoise and not chrysocolla. They look the same.
Hmm.
So if you're ever mining and you want to find out if it's turquoise or chrysocolla, stick your tongue to it.
Hmm.
But azurite is what they make rat poison with. So I wouldn't be sticking my tongue to that. I don't know.
You know, when I was a teenager, I went on every one of those mines that I ran across out there in the desert, in the mountains, everywhere. And I went back in there and I got a flashlight and I, just like a rat, I was in every little crevice. But the only thing that I was looking for was dynamite. I wanted to blow the hell out of stuff.
You know what?
Why doesn't that surprise me?
Hey, do you guys, Benny, you remember back in 80s or 90s, the guy that was driving down the 60, and it was an old Ford, and it blew up?
Mm-hmm.
It was because he went into a mine, found dynamite, threw it in. This is 1940s dynamite, if not even more, and threw it in the back of his truck and was going down the freeway. And you know that glycerin, it don't go away. It sweats and sweats. And so he was going down the road, and all of a sudden his truck blows up, and that's what it was. They determined he'd found some dynamite, threw it in the back of his truck. But I used to get everybody, because you always find the blasting caps and it'll have fuse on it. So I'll light that fuse and I'll throw it. Sometimes the fuse will light still in there if it's dry enough, and I'll light that fuse and throw it at people and say, "You better run." But me and my dad, we've been in Globe. It's all asbestos mines in Globe. And we was back in Regal Mine, and we were back there probably 4 or 5 hours before we came out the other side, and we didn't even go through all the mine. That mine went inside of a mountain, and they had a pipe through the roof to the ceiling of that mountain to get water out. Their spring was above them. That's pretty cool.
They say those meteorites are worth a lot of money.
Like $80 a pound.
And you can,
or no, they're probably more now.
And a metal detector will pick them up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I've had people ask me about that when I'm out and about, say you should. And I have a really nice metal detector, and I don't even hardly use it anymore.
Yeah.
A
lot of those guys, they just go out they go out in the desert and they just all day long. What do they call that? Geocaching or something? Or what?
Oh, yeah.
Geocaching will provide stuff for you to find.
What is it called? Well, it's kind of something like that, where they go out and they look for stuff. There's a name for it, where you basically just go out and look for old stuff.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I'd find one of the Joe Dirt meteors. That's what I would find.
That's a big old pile of poopy. Here's a little tidbit for you guys, for all those pretty hematite. You guys know what hematite is?
Heck no.
It's just a real shiny, looks like silver. They'll make rings out of it and necklaces.
I thought it was
like real shiny, silvery.
One of those people. I thought it was one of those people who don't know what sex they are or something.
A lot of those people. Anyway, those are lead based. A lot of people don't know that hematite's lead based. So when you're wearing that ring on your finger,
I didn't realize you knew all this stuff, Chris.
Oh, I can get into a whole lead thing too if you want.
Lead.
Yeah. Oh, because we did a lead abatement classes. Yeah. And the lady, she wouldn't say the name, but they have a lead gun. You know what a lead gun is?
No.
Point the gun at something, you hit it, and it tells you how much lead is in that. So a lot of times when maybe you're not old like some of us, you wake up and you got sore joints, you're tired, it could be a form of lead poisoning. because in Mexico, so they used to use the fertilizers or the bug killers, all that is lead base. So it's heavy. So it sticks to the plants, right? It won't float away or whatever. Mexico still does it. Hey, look it up. Google. I'm Google. I'm YouTube PhD. But there's a brand of salsa out there, a major brand that's full of lead. Even till
Really?
today.
Even that's sold in the United States?
Absolutely, because where do they get all the peppers and stuff from? Mexico.
Right there in Hatch Valley, chili capital of the world.
So you need
And
you need to tell us sometime what brand of salsa not to
Yeah,
buy.
you need to make a public service announcement.
No, she didn't tell us. It's all
Why?
she said. All she said was it ain't made in New York City. So that
Isn't
should
that
tell you exactly
Picante
what
sauce. Oh, you're saying paste picante has
I'm just
lead in it?
saying.
You won't get any trouble here. There's only
that was
there's
20
only
years
7
ago.
people listening to us.
Yeah.
There's only 70 troublemakers listening.
So paste picante should we make a public service announcement that paste picante has
and it's not, they had the highest content is what she said, because they do buy them out of there. But Mexico
it's probably got the
FDA.
highest content. It's probably got the highest content, but it has to get by the USDA.
But you're buying peppers that's already cleaned and coming over, so you're just buying peppers from there. There's always let's take the raisins, right? We send. Now listen to this, and I know this. This is how I know this because I
knew a guy like you one time in school.
We built a raisin plant where they made raisins and separated them. They're allowed 2%. They're allowed 2% per ton of maggots in raisins. That's what our country allows. Anything over that goes to Mexico. So all that cool candy, all you guys eat, everybody eats that Mexican candy. Yeah, that's all made from all that.
Our candy.
That's because it's full of maggots. More protein, I guess. I don't know.
Turns out I like that.
Well,
where were the raisins? Where were the raisins coming from that y'all were separating?
Here in Arizona, they had a big plant over here in it's like Apache Junction, Santan Valley now. So it's probably houses now. This is back in the 90s. So they had different classes of raisins, big ones. But they used to give us boxes of the pulp, big 1-ton boxes. We'd feed them to our cows, and their crap would be purple. It would turn their crap purple.
Chris, you're just
Louisiana hunting's hammering you tonight.
Oh, you know what? I'm not going to say nothing about Jeremy. Besides, he keeps blowing me these little kisses on my phone. I don't know what that is about. But he made me a
something we should know.
Yeah, I tell him I'm married. But he made me a leather thing for my Alpha 300.
Oh, cool.
He says it's the second one. I'm a test dummy. I said, "Oh, I feel special." He said, "You're just a guinea pig." Stripped it from me.
Cool. Dang, how do we get off on minerals and stuff?
Minerals and raisins
raisins, maggots, lead.
I was working cows over outside of Bloody Basin, Arizona again on the desert there, and there's an old sheep.
He does it.
What is it? A travel way where the Spanish sheep ranchers in Arizona, they used to all have summer country and winter country. The winter country was always on the desert. So there's a ranch on the east side of the Verde River that was where the sheep wintered. And for any of you guys that know, you've heard of the sheep bridge on the Verde River. The original sheep bridge was made by those Spaniards to get their sheep across the river. They would winter somewhere or summer up by Flagstaff, and then all of their contract labor was from Spain, the herders, and they really lived with the sheep. They would walk with them from the mountains in the fall and take them to the desert for their winter, and then in the spring they turn around and go the other way. And there's one of those travel ways over there where I used to work cattle, and we were over there looking around. There's on going down this ridge. There's a whole bunch of real short cement drinkers that were poured in place right there, and they were spring fed so that they could, 8 or 10,000 head of sheep, they could all have a chance to get water as they were going down through here, and they would bed around there a lot of the times. And I don't know how many years it had been since there was any sheep there, and we were working cattle and we were goofing off, just kind of moseying around looking, and I ran onto an old antique lantern. The glass was busted out of it, but I've got it sitting over here on the wall above my wood stove. And, there's little things that you can find out there, but you can't find them alongside the road because there's too many people out there now. But I was probably 3 miles from any road of any sort. There wasn't a trail there or anything else. I found that. I found a lot of metats, and I found one of the neatest things. I found a rock hammer that had a groove around it where they would put the stick around there and then tie it where they could use it for both sides. Rick Dickerson and I were up there in Pine Mountain, and we were afoot lion hunting, and we found where there was a bunch of pottery on the ground right below the face of this bluff, and we got to looking, and the rain had come off of that mountain up there on top, and so there must have been a bunch, because there were big pieces of pottery, and we always decided we were going to come back with our horses and mules and go up on that mountain. To this day, I've never been to that spot again, but you get out there and look around and doing what we do, chasing these dogs. And, I don't know about, this depends on the bear race. It's a lot faster a lot of the time, but you
Still
have
end
an
up
opportunity.
somewhere.
Yeah. But you can find all kinds of stuff out there like that. I don't know how many cars, and you wonder how they got those
Oh,
cars there. Was there an old road back in the day, or did they just go cross country?
You know,
uh,
something I learned, and you guys might correct me. I read this in a book. I was doing some research on on the videos I make on my other channel. I'm gonna go try to find this old ghost mining town. But anyway, I was reading this book, and back in there in some of those mountains I go and hunt in, I would run across these trails, and these trails, you get on a game trail, and it's about that wide, and let me get this out of the way, and then if you get on a little 2-track road or where they drive buggies or four-wheelers, it's pretty wide. Where there's some trails that go back through there, and they're pretty well defined, and they're probably about 2.5 or 3 foot wide, and they'll go through a saddle and down the edge down the side of the mountain. Oh wow, that's cool, Benny.
Yeah, that's.
But
I didn't mean to interrupt you, Brett.
that's all right. But anyway, I was reading, and this is an old book about about up in the Gila, and this guy said he knew how to find where the old Indian camps were, and he said because when the Indians traveled, because the Apaches, they were nomadic, and they moved their camps all the time. They'd follow the game or the weather or whatever to move to different locations, and he said you'd find their trails. They're wider than a game trail. And it is because they used to use, what do you call them? A travois that goes
oh,
Yeah.
goes over the back of the horse, and it's 2 logs that come down, and they haul their stuff like that. Well, those two logs that come down, they're about that wide, and they'll just push the rocks out of the way over the years, and that's where those wider trails come from. And I found lots of them, and I was always real curious about why those trail you'd find those trails that were just wider, and they weren't wide enough for a buggy or anything like that, but they were wider than a regular old cowboy trail or game trail. You guys ever run into anything like that?
I
or
never
notice
had
anything?
nothing that big out there. No.
Yeah, I noticed them up here. I'm gonna
Hmm.
film them one of these days.
You would
Matter of
think
fact,
there'd.
on
So
some of my
is there divots in it? Like, is it just a wide trail, or
it's just a
you can
wide
kind of
trail, and they'll go.
you don't see like it's wore out on the side like a ditch? You would think it'd be
Well,
like.
I mean, yeah, it has washout spots from the
Mhm.
ages, but
Yeah.
no, it's a regular trail where people traveled because it usually leads to a spring or something. And if you've watched some of my videos, I've been on some of them, and I think they're just I'll say this is the way Grandma used to go to the grocery store, and because it's a real well traveled route that you can tell it is, but they're not marked trails on any maps or anything. But yeah, it's just something I learned just yesterday, and it made sense to me.
Benny already brought it up, but who said it? From rock hounds to cat hounds, bear and cat hounds. But he's right. I don't know how many dry ground guys don't run across there and they're looking for arrowheads. I'm always looking for arrowheads.
I'm the worst person in the world at finding an arrowhead.
Right here, that's me. I found one, I think, in my life.
I have been in Indian ruins. I have never once in my life found an arrowhead of any flavor. That I had a ranch in the Guadalupe Mountains, and I had a whole bunch of those mescal pits, big rock. I don't know. Have you ever seen any of those, Brett?
Were they
They
grind on
made
top of the big rocks?
no. They were. These were big. I don't know, 8, 10, 12 foot
Oh,
across. Big piles of white rock, and then it was dished out in the middle, and you could tell that they burned stuff. And people tell me that was where they burned their mescal, making their
Oh,
hooch. And they said that those things a lot of times would be full of arrowheads and stuff. They told me that after I moved out of there, but I've never once in my life found an arrowhead. I found all kinds of other neat stuff, but I can I can be with people that have an eye for it, and they'll say, "Hey, you didn't see that right there? You just stepped on it. What? Move your foot." And they'll pick up an arrowhead. Oh, thanks.
Benny, you're looking for the wrong thing. You need to be
Yeah, I've
looking.
never
You need to
been.
be looking for spears.
I had to go all the way to Africa to find a spear.
I've been with guys who found arrowheads, and then I was with a guy one time who found like this stone, almost like a tomahawk, but it was like a hammer or whatever. I don't know. It was ancient, but I've never found an arrowhead that I know of. I found those. What did you call them? Matate, where they grind
Yeah,
the corn.
yeah.
If you find them and they're upside down, turn it over. They say that the grinding rock is underneath them, and of course, some of those things weigh 50 pounds, and I found one way up there. Of course, you're not supposed to remove them. Their archaeological significance needs
yeah.
to stay in place.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I found out I'm not the worst because I have found one. So,
Arrowhead?
yeah, found one checking cattle one day. Come out, it was raining in and out of the gateway that we've been in and out of a million times, and it had worked its way to the top of the ground. I just had to see it.
I went down in Texas and hunted with Cody King on a ranch up there, and the guy that ran the ranch, he hunted hogs, but I mean he had extensive collections of arrowheads. I mean he had these big glass covered, what do you call them? Displays with, I mean, tons of arrowheads in them. I think some guys just have a knack of spotting that that form.
Well, it's
I
like
don't.
if you're hunting, when you're a deer hunter and you're out hunting deer all the time, that's all you hunt. You can catch like a hoof or just a shape or a color, and you'll find that deer.
Vinny, that's an Indian sex stone.
No, this is a piece of a grinder. See, it's broke off right here. But
Yeah.
this is the smooth edge, the smooth side where they would grind it down in the rock.
Mm-hmm.
I
And
thought they're
here's
just an
that.
old roofies.
There you go. That's what that guy found. You better take that off the camera. They'll come get you.
No, this was on private property.
That's like
The spirits don't care.
I'll
we
put
were
the
going to
spirit-
have. Do you mind if I say that about that lady?
I was going to
Chris?
bring it up. Yeah,
Well,
I
Chris,
was going to bring that up too.
one of the things that we found a lot of, and I've made some videos of it, is those petroglyphs that we run into up there in the mountains where the Indians rode on the rocks, whoever they were that rode on these rocks. And Chris said, "Hey, let's see if we can find somebody who can interpret those things." So Chris sends out these emails to go to these people that this lady's supposed to be trained in reading these
That's what she
petroglyphs.
does. Mhm.
Hmm?
That's what she does. I guess
She don't
does
know
it
what
for
they
a
say.
university.
She
Nobody
doesn't know
does.
what they say.
Nobody does.
That's what I mean. But she's
We
Yeah,
kind of
don't
got. Well,
train
I sent her our videos. I sent her Mind and Breath videos about it, and she kind of gave us a.
I'm gonna read
polite
the
schooling.
email.
Yeah, let's let everybody else decide what.
This
I
is
don't
the,
think she meant harm by it. This is what she believes. This is not the. What did they say in those? This is not the beliefs of the people who are here doing it.
It's
This
not.
is just what we got back.
This is
I'm-
not the beliefs of this channel.
Yeah, yeah. And I
When'd
just
you
sent out
send
an
that?
email saying to your Brett at Born 100 Years Too Late.
Oh, I don't have.
So I just sent out some emails and said, hey, we did a couple videos. We want to do a little, a live. If you guys want to come on a live. And maybe it was an older thing I found on the internet because she acted like she was really old. She said, just
She's
said,
not
I'm
that
older.
old. She's not any older than
I-
Benny.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
You got to know the bar.
So,
I can't
and she
find
said,
it.
you can't? Let me see.
No.
I could find it.
Read what she said. I want to see what she said. Hmm. Or send it to me. I'll read it.
Let me see here.
Chris doesn't want me to give her a hard time. I can already tell.
Oh, this is just her beliefs, is all I'm saying.
You're loud again.
Oh, because I'm real close. I'm trying to.
You got him all riled up.
First, let me say that one of my theories on these petroglyphs on these rocks, because of a lot of the places where I found them, it's like they're lookouts. It's like there's places where the old chief came down there and said, hey, you watch this canyon. And if anybody, because they were always fighting with each other and everything. So if you see anybody coming up this canyon, come get me, come warn us. So these young braves or whatever they were back in those days, were stationed out there in these rocks, watching the mouth of this canyon or whatever, waiting for somebody to come in. And they start doodling. They don't have anything else to do, so they just start carving on rocks. So, did you find it, Chris?
You know what, Jeremy? I'm gonna fight Jeremy. Oh, and Jeremy did text me, Benny. He said, "You might be cool, but you'll never be as cool as Benny. You're not Benny cool."
Maybe someday Benny will be
Someday.
dead and you can carry on.
Yeah.
Ooh, some
To
big
break
shoes
in
to
and
fill
steal your-
there.
I have
He'll
to break in
never-
and steal your spear.
Benny, he'll never be the Little Rocks. He'll never
I'll
be.
never be able to. I sent it to you, Brett.
Oh, what'd you send it to me? What?
Brett at Born 100 Years Too Late.
You're gonna have to send it to Brett at iCloud. Because the computer, this is the different computer. Sorry, Chris.
Let me just read it.
Yeah, read it, but read the whole thing. Listen to this lady. And remember, she watched one of my videos where I explained my theory of the doodling Indians.
Well, and it's she goes through the whole thing of what you're supposed to do there too.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm gonna
Remember?
do.
So it's like, thank you for the inquiry about the petroglyphs. I do not wish to be interviewed because I am an old and my brain doesn't flow quickly like it did previously. However, after viewing your videos, I can offer you a little advice that you could apply when visiting these sacred places. One, Native people consider petroglyph locations as sacred and as occupied by the spirits of their ancestors. It's like visiting someone's church. You should be respectful of the place and the imagery and show that by your behavior. I think it's cool. Like, I don't think we disrespected it saying,
No,
look, those look like boobies. You know what I mean? Like,
maybe they did.
okay, I can show you some pictures. Anyway, I don't disrespect it.
Ain't nothing wrong
You
with
know.
worshiping a booby.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway,
Here,
yeah.
I'm
One
gonna,
way
I'm
you
gonna
sh-
have to wear my
okay.
mask.
Uh-oh. Yeah, I gotta go back and see what he looks. I'm on my other page. Did he have? Oh, did you? I thought you put on the. I thought you put on the other mask you got for him. One way you show, and this is number 2. One way you show respect is to bring you a biodegradable offer to the spirits. I suggest a pinch of dried tobacco or some cornmeal would be appropriate. Please do not.
See, John,
Please do not.
he has the same reaction I did.
Please do not bring anything permanent. When you give the offering, you should mention why you are visiting. I usually say, I come to learn.
I come to learn.
Number 3, do not touch the glyphs.
Brett, you're
Doing
gonna have
so
to say,
leaves-
I'm here trying to find a cat track. Can somebody help me?
Yeah. Doing so leaves the natural oils from your hands that degrades the glyph over time, which
I can understand a
I
little
don't
bit of that. You want to
Oh,
save it for somebody else to look at. I can understand a little
well,
bit.
I
of
know,
that.
but your oils on your hands, I could see if you're not taking a permanent marker or some spray paint like some people do. Number 4, in general, the glyphs represent the belief system of the ancient people, possibly applied to the boulders by medicine men and others. I think there was secrets. I think there were certain spots that the medicine man was, and the others weren't allowed. Some cultures believe the spirits themselves made the glyphs. Their belief system was as accomplished as any other and cannot be explained in a few words. Some cultures have preserved these ideas over a very long time, just as the other religions of the world have persisted over a millennia. Number 5, referring the imagery as doodles, Brett,
Doodle.
would be considered an insult. Just be respectful that the glyphs represent the important ideas of a long ago culture and that some of those ideas probably are still part of current native belief. We're not really saying, we're not hacking on it. You know what I mean? We're just trying to figure out, just like she is or anybody else that's studying them, you know? Hey, what are they? What does it mean?
I got another thumbs down. It's probably that lady that's watching it right
Probably.
now.
I
You
don't.
know.
I don't think it. That I don't think.
I
that
think we
saying
I
doodles-
think we respect it. I think we find it interesting.
Oh yeah,
And
it's real interesting.
some of those spots literally are crowded full of the glyphs.
Oh,
And it don't look like there was no rhyme or reason for it. It looked like a graffiti hall. Just like you're in a building that's vacant, or and there's all those graffitis in there. And you're right, if they're sitting up there, watch this. What are they going to do? They're not just going to
No.
sit there.
Now, Chris,
They didn't write a book.
If you get sent, say you get sent to a class by the state for your PI work, say something like that happens,
Mhm.
and you're sitting there listening to somebody and you get bored, you're going to start drawing on a piece of paper.
start doodling.
And there's not going to be any rhyme or reason to it. So I see what Brett's saying, and I see that there's possibility, there might have been their medicine man there that had certain areas that he would put a story on a wall or something like that. But, to say that it was never somebody doodling, I think would be wrong too.
Well, where do you find them? On great vantage points.
Exactly.
Always.
That's what I kind of recognized.
There's a place in New Mexico. We got to it going through Del City, Texas, and it's back. I think you would have to drop in from Pinon New Mexico, Brett. Off, come down in the bottom,
Mm-hmm.
and it's out there in the Creosote Flats. And there's this mountain that's pokes up in the middle of nowhere. I think it's a state park, some kind of petroglyph deal. And we know the guy that ranches right there. That's how we found out about it. We went and looked, and he said, and then there's petroglyphs all over this entire mountain. The whole entire mountain is all drawn up, and
Really?
there's some symbols on there that kind of makes my skin crawl.
Really?
And I just had a weird feeling the whole time we were there. But the rancher said that when they were younger, there's in cracks in the rocks where the crack would go down vertical, and we're talking about like maybe a 22 to 26-inch crack, not a very big crack. They could tell that it had been filled in, and so when they were young, they dug one of those out just to see why they filled that in, and they came across the bones of infants.
Ooh.
So this whole mountain, though, everywhere you went, there would be some of those cracks filled with rocks, and it was just it made me think of it was a spiritual place, and they didn't know if it was kind of the medicine man making sacrifices, or if they had a huge, some kind of disease had gone through their people and they buried all these kids there. But that's in New Mexico, down there by Del City, Texas, and the entire mountain has drawings all over it.
Well, it says you, Calvin. Calvin should know about this. He's here.
Is
Listen,
Calvin
here's a
here?
little. Yeah, he just said this isn't hound talk.
No. We're,
No, it ain't. And we didn't
We're-
claim it was gonna be.
we're going out on a limb here. Ooh. Do y'all see that? Whoop.
Yeah.
That's
I
some of the
think
ones
it's
that I
super
found.
Interesting. Super interesting.
That W looks a little modern.
Oh crap! I didn't finish my brand right there. I got ran off.
Running W.
You know what is that W? What is that W? Is it a zigzag or a W? You know what I mean?
You know, you can
Is
almost
it a
look
newer
at.
one?
There's some consistency. You can see. I mean, over the ones I've seen. I mean, those are what, deer. But that circle around a ball or whatever you call that.
Is that a
I've
circle
seen that
around the
before.
ball, or is that an eclipse? Is that showing an eclipse? At one point, they seen the moon come across the sun, or vice versa,
Oh
and that's eclipse.
man, you got an imagination there, Chris. That's pretty good.
I took my cornstarch and it
You
told me.
better throw it out to please the gods. Where's Calvin at?
He's right here. You should send him a link and get him on and tell him.
Look at he's yelling
Tell
at
us.
us too.
He is.
Dang.
And it is a story. It is history. No difference than when the world comes to an end, and in 100 years, they go into your cave, or wherever you're hiding out, and you have your journals. Your journals. That's no different than that. That's just a journal. We don't know the language. It's not like you got petroglyphs and you got, what is it? Hieroglyphs? Is it hieroglyphs?
Yeah, I don't know.
Those are symbols that are a writing. Those are, those mean something. Those are a letter. Those are a meaning. Not petroglyphs are just pictures.
I couldn't pronounce petroglyphs until a month ago.
Oh, there was a Bigfoot track in there.
We got. Let's see. Here we go. We'll touch on some. Here you go. We got some snow. Not a lot. We trailed what I knew was a female or subadult male, but she ended up leading us back to her kittens. Oh no, I've done that before.
Calvin, what does this have to do with UFOs?
Yeah. Why are you trying to
Bigfoot?
change? Why are you trying to change the subject?
He's trying to save us.
How much
I
snow
just
you get up there, Calvin? Did you guys get a lot of snow? I know Flagstaff got hammered. I don't know about up north. I haven't talked to my guy up there. He was actually my guy up there was down south doing training.
my guy. What? Explain yourself. We need to know what you mean by my guy.
Guy I know up on the reservation.
Oh, he's your weatherman.
Yeah, keeps me informed what's going on up there on the Navajo res.
No, we
Just
just
for
kind of
Wayne.
decided we just need to open this up and talk about different things. Sometimes, just I get bored. It's my ADD.
Do you guys believe in UFOs
Yes,
or
absolutely.
aliens?
I absolutely. There's no way. There is no way that there's this big universe and there's not another planet or something that can sustain life. There's no way. What do you think, John? I mean, are you basing it like off the religious factor?
Why though?
Have-
Well,
I
why
have to-
why
I
wouldn't
have to
God
base-
make another solar system?
Yeah.
Why
wouldn't
is
he
there
tell
only
us?
one? Why is there
Why
only
didn't he
one?
tell us about it?
Why?
To
But
me,
why?
to me, it would be to show us how special we are, because our Earth is actually, in a lot of cases, you would say uninhabitable. But there's certain things about our Earth that makes it inhabitable. If we would be tilted one way or the other, we would either freeze or we would burn up.
Exactly.
You got to think about how many thousands of miles an hour the Earth is moving and rotating and still being held there perfectly in space. If we were back from the sun a few miles, we would freeze. If we were up closer to the sun a few more miles, we would burn up. So I have to base everything in my life off my belief, and I
Yeah, but
don't believe
it's not anything that would cause you to not believe. There's lots of, I mean, through quantum physics, they've talked about different dimensions, and there's things that we don't understand. We're not
See, there's
supposed
things
to
we don't
understand.
understand, and different dimensions. Yeah, there's two different dimensions, but other than ours.
Yeah, but we don't know what all's out there, and maybe we're not supposed to know.
I personally don't believe.
Yeah, I
One
don't
of-
think it. I mean,
I believe, and this is my as a minister. This is my feelings. The UFO sightings, the alien abductions, the everything that runs in that category is a deception from the master deceptor.
but why
And
would it be a deception? That's what I mean. Why would it be a deception?
Why would it? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Why would it? Why wouldn't it? Why couldn't there be another planet? Why are we
what's
the only
gonna-
ones that get a
what's-
God?
What is going to be the answer when those of us that believe in Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior, what's going to be the answer when we disappear?
Maybe he's taking us to another
been.
planet.
Same as it's always been.
Hey, I have a way
Mass
for you
alien
guys to look
abduction.
into. I have a way for you to look into the solar system, into other galaxies and other things out there. Look up Louis Giglio, the pale blue dot. And he shows things through the Hubble Space Telescope bazillions of light years away. And what's out there beyond us. And I just find that simply amazing.
Yes,
Louis Giglio, the pale blue dot.
I'll look that up.
Look-
Because that interests me.
look
Because
up-
I mean,
Look up. There's people that can explain my point of view much better than I can, and they would be the best way would be to find them would be Answers in Genesis, and then there's a guy named Kent Hovind, and Kent Hovind is a really smart.
He's a
Creationist.
scientist too.
Yeah, he's a what they call a creationist. He's a scientist that believes in the creator the same way that I do.
well, no,
He's
I believe in that too, though. I mean,
But he can explain things to you that are not explained.
but what I'm saying is, I don't think just because you believe in that doesn't mean that there can't be something else out there too.
If he created us, why couldn't he create someone else? What, like,
He could.
there's no
but
reason.
Why would?
Well, why wouldn't he?
I don't know. I don't know.
E.T. the
Yeah.
Red Hounds E.T. the movie.
Huh? E.T. the movie.
Red Hounds is E.T. the movie.
No, but I'm serious. Why not? I would like to know. If somebody could tell me why not or why, I would be more than happy to listen.
That's more dangerous. This is more dangerous than politics. We'd be
This
better
is a
off talking
dangerous
about politics.
conversation right here.
It is, because it's the same as politics. Feelings get involved, and
I'm
you know,
not. I
when
don't
it-
want
the
feelings. I just
questions-
want information. I
answers.
guess.
Mhm.
You
Well,
know.
that's the reason I
it's a-
say that there's people that's a lot better at vocalizing it than I am, and those are the answers that I would give the people that could back my story up or my belief up to what I believe, and they can back it up with science. Calvin's went to sleep on us now.
What worries me is that maybe you think because I believe that it's possible that I couldn't be. I couldn't.
No, that's not. I mean, we all have. No, I don't think that about you. I mean, I know people that believe in Christ that believe that it's possible. I just personally don't think there is.
Okay.
I wish my buddy Seth was watching tonight. He could. He's really smart with this and understands a lot of it. He watches a lot of the same stuff I watch and studies some of the same stuff that I've studied, and he's a lot better at explaining it because we have these talks at work too. I work with guys that don't. I work with guys every day side by side that don't believe like I do.
Yeah.
I've got some guys that make fun of me because of my beliefs. So,
Nobody wants to.
That don't bother me. Let him make fun of me. I mean, that don't bother me. Is what I'm saying. I work with those people. So, and I just don't think so.
Hey, we got to talk about more than hounds. There's more to this world than hounds.
Well, how
I'm
many
sorry.
times does your hounds lead you somewhere where there's a mine and you're picking up rocks, or how many times the hounds lead you out and then you're not getting back till 2 a.m. and you're seeing those funky lights or Bigfoot run across the road?
UFOs and Bigfoots.
Mhm.
He said E.T. had hounds. That's what Jeremy just said.
Yeah, but they were trashy.
Yeah,
They were trash.
that's why they ended up on Earth.
These
Oh,
sponsors.
hey, maybe
they
we should get 'em.
Sell what sponsors?
Hey, thanks. Yeah. I tell you what, Wayne, you sponsor us, we'll talk about whatever you want.
I got a UFO sponsor now.
Yeah. I tell you,
Well, I mean,
you throw
I just
throw a $20
videos.
super chat.
Don't think I don't watch that stuff too. And Tammy will tell you I do. I watch Ancient Aliens and I watch the answers out there. I think it's the other thing the History Channel does. And I seen one of those today, and the guy was saying that it was a spaceship that had crashed into Antarctica, but you could clearly see that it was a shadow. I mean, and that's what they.
A lot of those. Yeah, a lot of
Spaceships
those.
cause shadows.
They
Spaceships
sensational.
don't have shadows.
It was the side of a ridge, and it had like a curved shadow the way the sun hit it. And this one guy was blowing up the internet that it was a spaceship where the snow had melted away and it was sticking up out of there. That it was a disc.
Oh, there's lots of baloney out there too.
Yeah, one of them sitting across from me.
You hush. You said there's lots of baloney out there, and she said, "Yeah, one of them sitting across from me."
Yeah, we all heard it.
We heard it.
Oh, could you hear it?
Sorry.
She's funny.
Is that still your first wife, John?
That's my first wife. Yeah. Let me tell you how crazy she is. She wants me to have her taxidermied and brought back to the house.
There you go. There you go. Double duty.
She
I like
says
this.
that way she says that way I'll never
See,
bring another woman home.
This is why we change it up. We are not CIA controlled. We
We are.
might be after this conversation.
I know we might not. We might lose all of our sponsors. No, no, all of our audience here.
If I
I
see a
wish.
bunch of black SUVs roll up in the driveway, I'm running out the back door.
Hey, Brett, I got a question for you.
Uh-oh.
I was with you both times down there in the southeast Arizona on the Mexican border, and we saw all those camps where the aliens were.
Mhm.
We never did get to see any aliens. They're very elusive. And on that video that you released where we were out there, and I didn't realize you were recording me when I spewed off a little bit of Mexican language there riding down the trail. But how on earth did you absorb all of that without being right there with those people? And I saw a video of you spewing off real good Spanish.
¿Qué pasó? Yo hablé español. Ándale pues, no dale con ganas, usa las palas.
That's
Did
kind
y'all
of
miss
a
what?
alien. That's an alien inhabitation right there.
See? Yeah. I'm a fast learner.
He was probed.
Did y'all see what Wayne Bixby said?
Uh-oh, where did I miss it? Uh-oh.
More to this world than
He don't
hounds.
have Agnes.
Bumped your head.
You bumped your head falling off that horse. I probably did.
He don't have Agnes anymore, so he's hit his head.
An orbit came across.
I like how
the
I like
right
how
up into the
people.
camera.
I like
Think
how
it was
people
gonna-
are saying we're getting off subject, but then they ask who built the pyramids.
Man, now everybody's hammering on me.
Enablers. Enablers.
A million Hebrew slaves built the pyramids.
Hey, Brett, is there any way we can get some of that green Kool-Aid and some of those guys with questions like that would understand?
Yeah, they'd be seeing aliens too. Then they might forget about them.
Let's not start talking about drinking Kool-Aid, because that was a Jones that done that. He was no relation.
No relation. Okay, what else? Let's talk. Should we satisfy the guys and say something about hounds? Benny, what was the name of the best hound you ever hunted with, and what made him the best hound?
I owned it. Her name was Dora. And I didn't train her. I bought her that way.
Larry?
She absolutely did. Yeah, I bought her from Larry. She absolutely did not acknowledge anything, nothing but a mountain lion track. And before that, I had a dog named Derek that was a high tan. He came from Mike Pock over at New River. And I got him as a little pup, and Brian and Justin trained that one until he was 3. I told that story. And I thought Derek was really the top kind of dog. And Derek was good, but he wasn't. He absolutely was not even close to the caliber of dog that Dora was. And just the fact that she was real laid back, she didn't cause any trouble. And if another dog barked and she thought she'd look at it, she'd stick her nose in the air like she was a stuck-up snot and look at them like, you idiot, and walk away. In fact, Billy kind of got mad at me the first time I went hunting with him over there on the Blue, and I had Dora. And I said, Billy, I haven't said anything before this, but those stupid dogs that you look up to, they're just a bunch of trash hounds. I said, and you just watch Dora. And he got all mad. I said, but I'm telling you, you watch Dora. And he said, so you got the best dog and my dogs are junk? And I said, yeah. And he really took offense. And I guess I understand. But when I gave Billy my pack of dogs, it took him 2 weeks to call me and say, man, if Dora doesn't bark, everybody else needs to shut up. So that was the best dog that I was ever around. And I just happened to own her later. I got her at 8 years old from Hendrix.
See, we didn't have
So
Benny
when you
say anything about Bigfoot. He didn't say anything about UFOs.
no,
He didn't say anything about any of that. But we got him back. We got him on hounds, and he starts telling a good story.
I guarantee you, I love hounds. I love
so you
hounds, mules, and I love my hard-headed first wife.
Man, that's good.
And she
so
happens to
Benny,
be in the gallery right now.
so Benny, when you're getting a dog from how old was that dog when you got it?
8.
8 years old.
So how do they transition over to another person as their owner? Was it hard, or the 8 years with somebody's a long time to give a dog up?
That's a good thing. That's a good question, Chris, because hounds are individuals. And my first good pack of hounds, led by Trip and Derek, they absolutely would not hunt for anybody else but me or my son. And so, it was a transition deal, but I had spent enough time around Hendrix too. So I don't know. We didn't have any trouble. I made everybody else shut up. I gave Dora full reign. I was with Bincy over. I don't remember where we were, over by what's the name of that place? White Oaks. And Dora started a track in the ice. And he said, "Hey, your dog's barking." I said, "Yeah, it's a lion." He says, "You can't see it. How do you know?" Because I know my dog. And we trailed on that lion and it didn't go anywhere. We couldn't do anything with it. We finally got it out of that and found where it was scratching. It was a tom, but it was who knows how old, But I just, I can't tell people how to communicate with their dogs. I could communicate with my dogs. I knew how to be the leader, but I also knew how to turn that responsibility over the one that needed to be leading at the time.
So do you think
So I don't know.
if somebody got that dog that was a shitty handler, do you think that dog would have went to shit?
Oh, it's always a possibility. Absolutely.
Oh, I could have made her trashy
So
in no time.
So if you got a dog that hunts, if you just got a dog that hunts, and obviously that dog was a hunting dog, that dog probably don't put much emphasis on the handler as long as you're letting her hunt. You think that's a viable theory?
John just went black.
His phone died. Yep.
I'll be back in a minute.
Or he's getting yelled at by his
I
wife.
think
or beat.
Aliens came down to get him.
Yeah.
I
Bigfoot
think too,
broke into his
No,
house.
I'm actually answering a question that Jeremy asked me.
the thing about Dora was she liked to hunt, but she also knew her role in coming back and checking with me too. So she wasn't just turned loose and free to go. But that gets back to, I was communicating with my dogs, and I am the alpha when I had a pack of dogs. And I expected certain things from my dogs, and I don't know that Larry expected those same things, because when I went with him when I was looking for a dog, and he said, "I got 2 dogs for you to check out," and we went over there on the Wallapai Reservation, and Dora didn't give a rip about where Larry was.
She
So
wanted to hunt.
I don't know how to tell you to communicate that to your dogs. I don't know.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. If you got a dog that's a hunting dog, that dog wants to hunt. Obviously, you being a handler, you're going to have some, effect on them. But as long as, well, I guess if you're getting with the old handler, whoever you're getting from, say, "Hey, tell me a little bit about the dog." If you've already ran, you should, if you're getting an 8-year-old dog or a finished dog, you should go run with them, right? Before you
I think
even think about,
you should go with somebody if you're buying a 2-year-old dog.
yeah.
Unless it's somebody that you actually know and trust, and you know the way their dogs hunt, and you know how they hunt. There's more to this deal than just throwing a bunch of pot lickers together and cleaning up dog crap.
Yeah.
Hey, now.
No, he's attacking us personally now.
Yeah, you're getting personal.
Cut him off.
Benny gets so serious sometimes too.
Oh yeah,
See,
I love those hounds. I did it for the
guys.
hounds.
Yeah.
I did it for the hounds.
We got to ask. We need to bring Rez on here. You want to come on for a minute, Calvin? We got to get back on the hounds, and so we don't lose our audience. Everybody gets mad
I've
at
seen
us.
I've seen Calvin's tracks out in the snow. He's been hunting.
Oh, was he posted some stuff? I haven't seen.
I don't know.
anything.
We were up to 90 talking about UFOs, and now we're back down to 70.
Well, all the aliens
Yeah,
left
they were
us.
a bunch of aliens, and now they've checked out.
Or the CIA.
The CIA saying, "What have these guys seen?" Oh, jeez. Let me see if I
Chewing
can.
the snow. His eyes fully open now too. Yep.
Watch this. This mic.
You seen it on
So, so,
Do what?
so can you take, if you take that good dog and you throw him with all your trashy dogs, you think you can line them out with that good dog faster than
absolutely.
you can?
Well, that's one of the best terms I've ever heard is a broke dog. Well, broke
in broke company.
Yes, exactly. Broke in broke company. And there's a lot of dogs that, I mean, I got them. I mean, they're broke as long as they're in broke company. But you put them with another dog that's going to bark on something, they're not going to miss out. They might run over there and try to run it too. And
what about if they don't find anything? Do you think that a dog sometimes will run something else off game because they don't?
Yeah,
They get bored and they don't find a track.
That's been one. Now, if you hunt like Benny and Steve Smith and Larry Hendricks and those guys who hunted and got to hunt a lot and got to get their dogs on lots of lions, I think you can have them 100% broke. But if you don't get them on a lot of lions and you go, pretty soon those dogs are going to want to run something. I believe a good dog is.
Well, bear dogs around here. I was talking to a buddy one time, and he thinks even some of the best bear dogs around here get a little bored, and if they run across a hot coyote track, they're going to hit it. Even some of the best.
Where's our that bad? I mean,
well, you got to think coyote's got a different smell to it. It stinks, and a bear stinks.
Yeah, but there's a difference.
They can distinguish
a dog
all
knows
that.
the difference.
They know the difference between.
If he's got a bear track, he'll run a bear track. But if he's hunted for 2 days and they've not been able to locate a track, when it gets tough here in December, I think we get a coyote race every once in a while with him.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that happens with us, or with guys who don't, like me, don't catch a lot of lions. Yeah, sure.
Unless you have a broke dog.
I got to keep my eye on them and watch them and see what they're doing and try to interpret what's going on. Because Solo was the world's worst, and Solo produced a lot of really good pups. So the guys, good lion hunters went on and caught. Well, Mike had, I mean, he's got that same line, and they went on and caught, lots of lions. But Solo, that dirty booger, man, he'd be a broke sucker in the morning when you left, but when you were riding back that night, he would find something to go trail. I mean, and everybody would be tired, and we'd be coming back, and hear someone bark, and there would be Solo up a canyon somewhere finding something to trail. Now, it wasn't bad about running a coyote or running a deer or something like that, but he, I think he went out and liked to run a fox or something.
Well, that gets back to the individual dogs, though, a lot.
What's that?
You got to know your dogs, and I was hunting a lot. And on Thanksgiving morning, my son and I took off and we went to the Guadalupes, and we made a huge circle that day. And we came back, and I looked at my GPS, and we had gone 19.8 miles, and not one single bark from one dog. And we had 8 dogs with us. Nobody made a bark. And there's coyotes out there, there's foxes out there, there's badgers, there's squirrels, there's rabbits, but A lot of it depends on the handler and how much they're hunted.
I think a lot of it depends on the handler. I know another guy that
Didn't come through.
he's
Riz.
got a dog. It could probably be a great dog, but he won't keep a tight rein on him. And that dog runs whatever's hot. He don't care what it is: deer, bear, coyote.
I think those are
elk.
dogs that you dumping out of the box on a track, right?
Before you know what it is.
No, this dog you can be on a hot track, and this dog will leave a hot jumped bear race if a deer runs across the track.
That's nothing
That's
you
a
want to
trashy
feed.
dog.
That's nothing you want to
That's
feed.
a
But
trash
that's because Daddy never hits the button on him.
Yeah, that's not something.
Daddy
Let me
lets
tell
him
you.
do it.
Let me tell you
Switching
what I did
tracks
this
is a
week,
bad thing. Bad thing.
or last week.
I mean,
I,
he's been known to bag up a moose. He's been known to run elk. You know, when they've took him out of town. You know, he's been known to do a little bit of everything. He don't care.
that's just too much trouble. That's a lot of trouble. But I tell you what cures that, and I know because I got my 300i and 10 collars last week.
Okay.
And now I got collars that stimulate, so they
Okay,
listen
guys.
real good now.
Now's your chance to get. Now's your chance
He
to
won't
get
hit the
back
button.
at him.
Hey, yeah, but I want to know. I'm going to say that puppy.
There's your
seems
chance
like
to get back at him. Louisiana hunting. He's been hammering
Oh.
you, Chris, all night.
There he is.
Look at him.
Look,
I didn't. You know, his text didn't look near as tough as he looks.
oh, we scared him. We scared him.
There he comes back.
But I did get oh, Stinker? You talking about Stinker?
Yeah, Stinker looks. Yeah,
Oh man, she is cat ridiculous. I take her to work with me every day.
See, look
I
at.
can't
all
hear you.
day long.
That's
You
not our
can't?
fault.
You got to turn the volume up.
You're real loud too.
You got a little fancy mic and everything. He can't hear us. Ugly, no good for nothing.
Man, his text didn't sound near as tough as he looks.
Yeah, and he can't hear us, so we can say
What?
whatever we want.
I hear you now.
Whoops.
Oops.
Now's your chance to get back at us all.
Hey, I can't say nothing. He made me a holster.
he was making fun of my shirt. That's what he messaged me about.
No, I was not making fun of your shirt. I just asked what it said.
Scoot over. We can't see the whole thing.
Yeah. Can't
No,
be
the
all
other
possible.
way.
Other
The
way.
other way.
Other way. The other
It
left.
says
More
Biden on it.
live worse.
That's a preacher for you.
So discriminative.
So what is it, Louis? You're a coon hunter, right?
Oh,
Whatever you want to call it.
Hog hunter, coon hunter. You run hogs?
dog
Bear
too?
runner.
hunter.
Run bears?
Not legally.
Well, you
That's
is there
As
bears
Chris
down there?
says, I hunt 600-pound coon. Yes, sir.
Short tails. Short tails, what we call them. Short tail.
Okay.
We
Snubbins.
go out-
California has a bunch of those.
You go out and run at night. Oh, we got a short tail.
Or long tail.
You got long tails down there? What we call a long tail?
Raccoon.
What's that?
Black Panthers. I think it's delaying. Is it delaying to them?
It is. I don't know why.
I don't know.
All that Louisiana stuff.
They're
Greyhound
just
says it's not working for him to come on.
they're just slow down there in Louisiana.
Yeah, even the internet's slow in Louisiana.
Oh, Res Hounds can't make it because I don't know why. You just clicked that link, didn't you? What's your
Yeah.
name, Louisiana Hunting? What?
Jeremy.
Jeremy. Okay, I'm sorry. I was going to try to do this. What does it come out? Oh, it'll come up Louisiana honey. Well, tell us a story. We brought you on. You got to tell us a good story because we're about to
He
have
had
to
some
get off
UFO
here.
stories.
Yeah.
We're waiting.
Tell us the tell us the UFO story.
Yeah, we were hunting on a buddy of mine's place, and we were on this corner, and there was a UFO.
Optical illusion.
Hold on, let me see if I can plug this thing back in and see if I can get any
He's got a delay, I think.
bad.
And it's echoing through back where he's hearing himself, I bet.
Anyways, John, that stinker dog, I take her to work with me
Yeah.
all day long. I caught her today in a bunch of pipes, and there's cats around that yard, and she'll trail them now. She'll just trail them, and she'll go find them in those. And then, did you see that short I put up today, where it had it in the tree?
I think I seen that. I think I seen
Yeah,
that one today. Yeah. She was treeing
I
on
heard
it
her-
good, and it jumped out and run
Yeah,
around.
I heard her barking, and I'm like, dang. So I walked over there, and there she had it in the tree, and that cat jumped out of that tree like 10 feet. It took off, and she chased it all the way to the laundry room.
Can you
You
hear
hear
us,
us any better?
Jeremy? Can you
A lot
hear
of
us?
internet trouble tonight. Usually it's us having internet trouble.
Mine keeps trying to freeze. It blinks.
When he leaves, I got to get him a stand-in.
You can't even tell the difference.
Nobody says a word.
Didn't even leave. Jeremy's not going to be able to tell us our story.
No, he's just going to sit there and look
Yeah,
pretty.
I'm here.
I went
We
out
can
to
hear
check
you.
my coyote
Just
dog.
tell us the
I
story.
thought I had time. I didn't realize that there was a lull in the activity.
Well, I think he's just hearing us like 30 seconds late. Watch. I'm going to say, when you hear this, raise your hand. Oh, not too bad.
Well, he hears us. Just tell us the story. We can hear you.
We were hunting on a buddy of mine's place, and
That's as far as we get with him. That's just.
we were hunting on a buddy of mine's place.
We've heard that 5 times now.
We were waiting on a dog's tree, and there was a unidentified object, and it green and red lights like a plane, and come on now, Brett. But anyway, when I shined the light on it and the camera, it shot off, which I filmed. It's on my channel. So if you watch my channel, Gypsy and the UFO. So,
And it was a bashful UFO.
never made a sound.
Oh, that's spooky.
All you could see was the lights.
You know, I forgot about this. When I was a kid, it was about, Benny probably remembers this happening in about, I think it was about 76, 77 when all the cattle mutilations were going on. And there in Estancia, I went to school. I lived out there in Estancia. A friend of ours, the Rileys, they had a ranch and they had one of their cows mutilated. But what was strange about it is this cow was in one pasture, and the cow, when they found the cow, she was in a different pasture. and this pasture was a long ways away. No other cattle in that pasture, and she was mutilated. We went and looked at her. It was spooky. Like I think it was her eye that was cut out, and it was looked. We were kids. Of course, we had a great imagination too, and it looked like it was like surgically done. But what was weird about the whole deal is nothing would eat on it. The coyotes never came to it. The crows, nothing would eat on that carcass. It just stayed there and rot. They came out and investigated it too. And that was back when all the cattle mutilation stuff was going on.
How many cattle
Yeah,
have you
but-
found out there that die, Brett, especially in the desert? And you would think the coyotes would tear it up, but nothing touches it. Is it because they're
Yep.
sick?
I think maybe, probably.
Is it what?
Like
Did
I'm
you
in,
say?
like like I'll find dead cows out there, or in a mud hole or whatever, and you would think, like in bear country, I'm like, oh right, dead cow, but nothing touches it, nothing.
Electrocution. Lightning strike.
And that'll
Maybe.
keep them from eating it.
Yeah, I had a horse hit by lightning one time, and the buzzard would land on it, but nothing else would touch it. Don't ask me why, but nothing else would touch it because of that lightning strike. It was a dog.
Crazy.
It was a Doc's Bar quarter horse, right up here behind the house.
I mean, that means he bucked.
A little costly.
She was barn sour. I could ride her around here, and if you didn't
Lazy
keep on her,
rider.
she would turn a circle and right back to the house she'd go.
we call them game wardens. That's what Timothy Brink said to Louisiana hunter. That's with the flashing red lights.
Well, that's what we thought it was, a game warden drone.
Now, I know Bency said that he thinks that they use drones because he said that he's had
They do
game
use
wardens
drones.
ask him. He said he's had game wardens ask him, so we can't believe you riding the places you ride. And he said he'd swear that they was watching him with the drone a lot.
Oh, there's lots of other ways they watch too.
Well, they're looking for bait sites or congregation of deer.
They don't do that. They don't do that stuff in Virginia. They're too sorry.
Well, we're in a CWD zone.
There was this is a story I heard, so this is secondhand information, so take it or leave it. But there was a guy up here that supposedly shot a wolf that had a collar, one of these Mexican gray wolves or red wolves, whatever you want to call them. Anyway, he was driving down the road and he seen it out there, thought it was a coyote. And, pretty long distance shot or whatever, couldn't, look like a coyote because these wolves aren't that big, what we got here. And he shot it, killed it, drove on, thought it was a coyote. Well, he got a phone call saying that when that mortality collar went off and said that the wolf had died, they could ping and find out who was in that area. And they found his phone right there in that area. They called him and they said, "Hey, did you shoot this whatever?" And he said, "Yeah." He said, "I shot a coyote when I was right there." And they said, "No, that was a wolf." I think it's like a $40,000 fine or something like that.
That's what people understand is these cell phones. 90% of the people getting busted right now is cell phones. Woo! Look at that pretty old thing. My whole
We're
set.
having an argument. What's going on here?
Who's arguing?
BS if they don't. Maybe not your part. I'm on the eastern side. Mike Gray Jr.
Johnny.
Yeah, I think he's talking
Maybe
about
Mike's
have they ever found any deer or elk mutilated or just cows?
No, Mike may be saying that about me. About me saying that about the game warden. You can't get a game warden to come here. We called a game warden one time because we had a deer shot in front of my dad and my sister and my cousin, and at the time he was another guy, my brother-in-law. Called and told them about it, and they said, "If you think you know who shot it, just don't let them have any of the meat." And it was shot in July. I called one time about having a bunch of carcasses dumped out in my gate, and they told me if I would catch them, That's what he's talking about. They told me if I'd catch them that they would prosecute them, but I'd have to go to court.
You don't live in Louisiana. Ours are bloodthirsty.
Well, Mike's saying that they're different up there. And I'll have to say that, Mike, when I hunted just up the road with George, I seen that the game wardens are more active up there than they are here.
I'm sure they got their hot zones.
Well, I got a
I'll tell
buddy.
you
I got a buddy went to
story.
their office because somebody was coming on his property and cutting trees down across his 4-wheeler path where he hunted, and they told him. They told him when he went and talked to him, they told him if they didn't handle that kind of stuff, he'd have to go talk to the county law, and he went and talked to the county. County said, that's not our job, that's game warden's job.
That's typical state and county.
Well, I'll tell you a story about our local game wardens.
Go ahead.
They just recently we had a $100,000 coon hunt last year here in my backyard, and they found out about it, and anyway, they decided that everybody needed a permit to hunt the WMA that we were hunting, and that's $250 for everybody there.
Jeez.
Not including the $2,000 that it was bringing to every community within this corridor. It's $20,000 what we figured out it was for the communities, but they're worried about $250.
Gotta love that government ran stuff.
Well,
So they
listen,
moved
guys,
to
I'm gonna
Mississippi.
have to go. So.
What's that?
I got somebody trying to get hold of him that needs to talk to me. I'm gonna have to go. So.
Okay.
Sounds
John,
good. Thanks for coming.
Don't hold it against me because I believe in UFO.
I don't hold it against you, but
When you leave,
We'll
we're
find
gonna
out.
talk so much crap about you.
I'm gonna
We'll
come
find-
prepared next time. I'm gonna have my paperwork in order.
we'll find out who's right one day.
One day.
Well, see, but that's where that drives me crazy.
Here we go. Here we go. You better just turn it off now, Johnny.
You better go take care of it.
I gotta go.
I'm gonna get rid of you.
I love all y'all anyway. I love every one of you. So
Well, we love you too.
See y'all.
We'll see you, John.
Bye.
Whoop. Anyway, where were we? What was going on? What are we going to talk about now?
I thought Jeremy was going to say something for a
Well,
second.
his lips moved, but
He
nothing
got all
happened.
wound up to say it. We better talk about dogs again, or res hounds. There's going to be
Res
all over
Hounds
it.
is going to scold us again.
Who do you live next
But
door
anyway-
to? Res hounds.
Oh,
Right?
he's
Oh.
going back.
Yeah, dang it.
Two of my buddies just won this weekend at a $100,000 coon hunt,
Oh, wow.
and they won $43,375, I think.
Jeez. That's when I went on Josh Michaelis, his podcast. And of course, I've been talking to Josh. I enjoy talking to Josh, but I never dreamed.
He was there.
Yeah, he does that live deal, he does that live show, I think, during those contests or something. It's a pretty cool deal. But I couldn't believe the money those people make treeing coons and how it's run and everything. It's really interesting.
Well, the entry fee's $4,000.
That's a lot of money right there. You got to be pretty proud of your dog.
You know, what do you got? 60 people putting in, or 50?
I think it was $64.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of
My
geetas.
buddy got the highest money winning crossbreed male dog in PKC history. You got a video of him before he ever won any money. If you go back to my old videos and check out the blueberry wine video.
I don't know. They brought up that Oakland. What is that? Oakland Flats, or what is that big one somewhere? There's a. I didn't know what it was, but I'm not. I don't get into the coon hunting part.
Those old
Well, they got
and
UKC Classic too.
Calvin, what some of those dogs sell for is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
What's a high price for a good competition top level coon hound? Jeremy?
About 20,000.
20,000.
My buddy's been offered over 100 for his dog.
Jeez.
How great of like these competitions? Like, what's the difference if they got out? I mean, as far as tracking, can a coon dog that runs nothing but coon? I mean, they don't rub their noses raw tracking, is what I'm saying. They're just
no. That's a different.
Blowing and going.
They're
blowing and going.
I mean, my buddy, he treated 3 coons in 2 hours and won 43,375.
43,000.
There's a good one. Let's talk about wounded hounds. We don't really talk about that, do we? You guys carry medical kits?
Me?
I do.
Somewhat. You know, someone real quick, someone up above this said he blew his dog's feet out, and what's a good to get him healed up fast? I use that pad heel. I really like that pad heel.
That's what I use.
I don't know if any of you guys have used that pad heel, but I use it on all the wounds, though, not just their pads. So, answer that guy's question if he's still on.
I made my own.
What do you use? A bunch of oils?
I used
pine tar.
Well, yeah, I would go out and get pine pitch off of trees, and then I would melt that down, and you got to do it outside, and you got to be careful because it'll catch fire. And I mixed that 50% pine pitch and 50% vegetable oil, and then I would add lanolin to it, and I would add that red stuff called wound coat. It's I would add that as an antibiotic, and I put it in a little 1-pound coffee can, and I had a little paintbrush, and I dope it on their feet, and that pine pitch keeps it on stuck to their feet. They can lick and lick and lick. They're not going to get it all off, but that's what I used to do.
Autumn Oaks.
Hey, Brett.
Yeah.
How's them 2 mules working out?
Those what?
2 mules.
I'm just going to try them tomorrow.
I saw your video.
You tell the story?
Do what now?
You already kind of tell this. Oh, go ahead.
About my mules?
Yeah, that they were borrowed and now one might be yours.
Well,
Thinking
yeah,
about buying
it's
it?
kind of
He works out.
Yeah, a friend of mine. Well, I talked to a friend of mine. And he said, "Well, call this other guy," which is a guy that I know. It's a friend of mine, and I roped with him for many years. We roped together, and I said, "Hey, I hear you have some mules. You want to sell one?" He said, "No." He said, "I don't want to sell one." He said, "You can use one." And I said, "Well, and I didn't ever get back with him." And I started pricing mules and looking and doing whatever, and and they're so expensive, and and trying to get a feel for a market and what kind of mule I want and what I'd be willing to pay for that kind of mule. I mean, I wanted to kind of up my game a little bit, but like I told everybody, I got a champagne taste on a Keystone Light budget. And
$26,000 just a lot up your game.
I was going to say this. You and Chris have burnt me.
Do what?
you and Chris have ruined me.
Uh-oh.
I bought a horse trailer. My uncle's a damn roper. That's you up here. And he sends me these beautiful rope horses that are way out of my budget, like $15,000-$20,000.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I can't afford that. Don't need that. I don't need the rope. And he sends me these mules that are $10,000, $15,000. I'm like, do you know where I work? I don't have that kind of income.
That's me. I'm on a fixed income now. But yeah, but this guy, he sent me these. Finally, I got back with him. I said, "Hey, Dale, because I got a tent that's way up there in the middle of the wilderness, just sitting there, that I got to go get packed out. I packed it in there for my nephew, so I got to go get it packed out of there. So I got to have a mule." And so finally, I called him and asked him. I said, "Dale, I wonder if I could try, borrow those mules, borrow a mule." And he said, "Come." He said, "We'll pin them up. They're out in pasture now." He said, "We'll pin them up. Come take these two, and pick out which one you want to ride." And I went and got them, and I haven't rode them yet and everything. And I just, I felt bad. I don't like to borrow things. And so I called him back and I said, "Dale," I said, "price these mules. Price what you want for these mules. And that way I ride one, and I like it, I'll buy it." And he said, "Well, I really don't want to sell one." And he said, "All I do is use them for elk season." He said, "If we draw an elk tag, then I ride them for elk season." And I said, "Well," I said, "price one, I'll buy it from you. Elk season comes along, you're going to be gone a week and a half, something like that. You can have the mule back for elk season." And he said, "Oh, okay, cool. That sounds like a good idea." And he got off the phone, and I thought, good, that's a good deal, And he told me what he paid for them and everything, and I knew the guy that he bought them from, so I called Sid. I interviewed Sid. He's on one of my videos, and I called Sid and talked to him, and he told me about them and everything, what they did and what they were like, and I thought, well, this is a pretty good deal. Well, pretty soon Dale calls me back. He said, he said, "I don't need the money. I don't want you to pay me for them." He said, "Me and my brother are in partners on them, and it'll just be a pain and everything." He said, "And I don't need the money." He said, "Just keep the mule. Just keep the mule. And when elk season comes along, just I draw a tag." He said, "Send it back to me." He said, "Really?" He said, "I ought to pay you for boarding the mule and keeping him legged up for me." So it's going to work out pretty good, I think.
Sounds like a good deal right there.
I think so. I mean, I honestly do believe that, he'll find that the mule's probably a little handier and rides a little better than she did before. I mean, I am a pretty decent hand on an equine. So
Gonna get rid
All I
of
ever
it.
get
Period.
is bucking horses.
do what?
All I ever get is bucking horses.
Bucking horses. No, I don't. I fall off every now and then, but I don't ride bucking horses.
Fall off a lot.
I do acrobatic tricks when I fall off.
And cuss a lot. And look like Benny right now. Shake my head, hold my head, and like, dadgum, I'm glad I landed on my butt.
I was there.
I'd have done better if she had just rolled her back up and started sucking up mud and thrown me, but I just went.
I still can't believe that you were on top of your boot and it was not on your foot.
I got skills, man. What's worse than that, somewhere up there on that mountain is a $450 Canon camera that I lost.
Dang.
I know, it's terrible. But
That would go good for all them people that cross over to go with their $3,000 check and all their
And
other
they're
stuff
free
they get for coming
Medicare.
to
Don't
this.
forget that.
We were on their trail, so they probably got it by now.
Oh yeah.
Oh, there's somebody will find it. Let's see. Calvin says, I got a 13-hand mule with your name on it. 13 hands, my feet will drag the ground.
That's called a
Mine too.
donkey.
That's all we have in Louisiana is 13-hand mules.
And they
called
jump
a
fences,
donkey.
don't they?
Oh yeah.
And I'm 6'4".
That don't work real good.
Mm-mm.
It looked like that trail you was
I
on,
won't fall
Brett,
off,
that dragged the poles.
I won't fall off.
Slide off.
No, I'm gonna go out.
Step off.
I'm gonna go up here on one of these mules, maybe tomorrow afternoon. And try them out.
I had a 13-hand jack I wish I still had.
I lost him there. Now I've lost everybody.
I think we're just all staying still, waiting for the story. Yeah.
It's always a pause.
I'm telling you, Benny, it's all Benny.
It's all Benny's fault.
Don't have his spear out.
And he can tell a story.
Hey, I got a story. I got a story.
Tell us, Brett.
This is a good story. It's talking about strange things that happen when you're out. I used to run coyotes with their greyhounds, but they're crossbred greyhounds. We called them stag hounds. They're coyote hounds. They're a speed dog that has it's like a greyhound with long hair. They're bred specifically for running coyotes. And I really got into that at one time. Matter of fact, I caught a lion with those dogs one time. Anyway, this is a good story. I was driving in. Used to, I'd go out and I would try to call the coyotes in, try to lure them into an open area so the dogs could get on them, because they got to stay sighted. If they get in brush or anything, they can't hardly catch a coyote. Anyway, so I was driving up there on this ranch that's west of here, sorry. And I look out there and there's a coyote sitting there on his hind end. And about 100 yards in front of him, there was an antelope. And I knew, and I had a jump box on my truck, and I had these arms that came up over the window, and I could pull one and the doors would pop open. I could pull this one, I could launch the dogs on that side, or I could pull this one on this side and I'd launch the dogs on the other side. I knew if I launched those dogs at that coyote, they might not see the coyote, but they would see the antelope, and they chase, and you don't break those dogs. Anything that runs fast from them, they're going to chase it. So I thought, well, I'm going to just pull off over here. I'm going to get out and go around and open this side of the dog box and let those dogs out and take them around the back side so they just see the coyote. They don't see the antelope. So I did that, and I got those dogs out, and I took them around the backside, and I thought they're sighted on the coyote because they just get like that, and whew, they take off. They take off after the antelope. So they run out there after this antelope, and that antelope goes out and turns and starts running. Well, that coyote's sitting there, and here comes this antelope running right at this coyote, and I'm sitting there watching it, and the antelope's running, and the coyote looks at it, and the antelope's running at the coyote, so the coyote takes off running. So the coyote's running, the antelope's running right behind the coyote, and here comes my dogs running the antelope. Well, the antelope runs up on that coyote and sees the coyote and flares off to the right. And the antelope takes off. My dogs take off after the coyote, or after the antelope, and that coyote's running. Pretty soon he goes, and he turns around and falls in right behind my dogs. So I never knew what happened. I ended up with nothing. I didn't end up with an antelope or a coyote or nothing. But they went over the hill, the antelope, my dogs, and the coyote chasing after the dogs.
You had coyote dogs chasing an antelope, getting chased by a coyote.
And for the life of me, I have nothing. That coyote probably just thought, well, we're going to catch that antelope.
I'm going to steal some of that meat.
So that one it would probably catch you.
What's that?
But I've got one that would probably catch you.
Catch the antelope or the coyote?
Both.
What is he? How is he bred? And I'll tell you whether he can catch him or not.
He's a walker dog, but he's fast.
Man, you gotta have the speed dogs. You just gotta have it to catch a coyote. I mean, now endurance wise, I mean they got those coyote dogs that after long races they'll catch a coyote. But these man, this just takes unbelievable speed to catch them out here.
Man, I've been going
I told you
45 miles an
Minnesota
hour
mama.
running next to a coyote.
I had 2 dogs with me. My gyp tree and had 4 coons. I tied him back, walked him away from the tree 2 minutes, turned him loose so he wouldn't go back. And he was out of communication within just a minute. And that's about 1,000 yards. You know, he's gone.
Yeah, until I mean until you ran coyotes sight races out here, it's I mean, it's the speed required, and what was always the trick is a lot of times you can get a dog that's sure enough fast enough to catch them, a speed dog, but then putting that in a package that has enough grit to throat one, to grab a hold of him and pin the head, or they call it pin the head, and I don't know. Well, Benny knows a friend of ours that is crazy about that, David Heiss, and I mean, it's and it's not very popular in this part of the world because we don't have enough open country. But you get on the eastern side of New Mexico, and then into Texas and the Panhandle, and all up through there, Nebraska and Iowa and all that country.
Kansas is those guys.
Yeah, they gave me. I stopped at a truck stop one time. I was going to the USTRC finals team roping there in Oklahoma, and I was coming back, and there was a dog trailer there, a guy coming back from Tijuana, the dog races, and had this big dog trailer with these greyhounds in it, and he was from Kansas, and I got to talking to him about greyhounds, and he pulled this dog out of one of those boxes, and this thing was built like a little bodybuilder, and probably about an 85 or 90-pound greyhound, and there was an ounce of fat on him and all muscle. His name was Woody Thomas. Never will forget. And that guy just handed me the dog. He said, here, because I was telling him, I said, it's hard to get speed and grit sometimes in the same dog. And he said, here, he said, I guarantee this dog. He said, take him. He said, he's done on the track. He said, and I know he's fast enough. Trouble with that dog is he'd only been run on a groomed track. He didn't know how to run the rough country. And he would run so hard and so fast that he would be crippled. You run him on one race and he'd be crippled for, a month. And then absolutely knew nothing about fences. And his feet weren't tough enough for the country I ran in. So I gave him to a guy up north, and he was running him up there, and he had better ground than I did. And fence got him, ran into a fence and killed him. But he was dumb. I mean, he'd been raised, they baby those dogs. What's that?
Fast and dumb.
Yeah, he just hadn't been exposed to anything, and all my dogs, I had them from when they were pups. I had a dog named Poke that he was a hairy dog, stag hound that had super good feet, had enough speed he could catch a good coyote, and he wouldn't throat them though. He would slow them down enough where the tough dogs, when they got there, they'd throw them. And everybody always said the same thing. You have a dog like that, eventually he'll quit you. He'll quit running those coyotes. Poke never did. He would always run them, and he would always, do whatever it took until the other dogs got there. And then they would throw. I had a dog named Joe, and then one named Festus, and one named Rat. And these dogs were double tough. They weren't as fast as those other dogs were, but they were tough.
That sounds like a Pablo dog. He ain't smart enough to quit bears.
They don't
He got
last
chewed
long
up
like that.
last summer, and he run one the other day, squirrel hunting. And got the little git we were breeding him to started on bears.
Those bears, those guys. I don't know what they say. I danced
Ours
with
aren't
those
like
bears for a
Georgia.
while.
They're not run very much.
Do y'all got lots of water, don't you?
Right now we do.
Yeah, we don't have none.
We don't have no water.
None. No. I got some
Well, we
puddles
got
left over from
15
Saturday's rain.
We've got about 15 inches, and it's pretty high in most places.
Oh yeah, we got 15 inches in about last 20 years.
Guys,
Oh, Brett. Yep.
I'm getting tired. I had a
You look it.
I am. I was supposed to be. I went down to have some tests this morning, and for my test that they did, I was supposed to be sleep deprived because they did I call it was a deal they put on my head and checked my brain, and I had to lay down with all this. It's crazy.
Benny has something so good to say right now. He can't hold it in. I'm waiting for it. No, Benny, nothing.
I know the cause.
Well, we think. Let's.
No
don't
Save
mule.
that for another time.
Yeah.
Is that it, Benny?
That we'll take. We could do a whole podcast just on that. But yeah, so I was sleep deprived. We need more Penny and Brett. Oh me, yeah.
We get when we want to discuss that, we'll get John on here.
Oh, that'll be hilarious.
I got
John,
Benny trying.
Let's see. Let's go. Do we have any? Have you been monitoring the chat, Chris?
Yeah, everybody's talking to each other.
Keep running hands.
Chuck Miller.
You
How come
lose
we haven't
sleep.
had Chuck Miller on?
We need to get Chuck Miller to come on.
He got here 10 minutes ago.
I think he works late or something.
Hmm.
Who else? Res
We-
Hounds.
we
We've had Res
started-
Hounds on before.
Maybe we'll talk about some medical stuff next week.
You
Don't
handle
really get into
that,
that.
then. You just take care of that because I'm not good on that kind
I
of
don't.
stuff.
I have never been to a vet for a dog. I'm gonna tell you that. So I'm the wrong person. Then.
I
I do have a. I
vet. own like a wing on a vet.
You-
I know they make a lot of money off the hounds, guys.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, I've taken dogs to the vet before. I doctor. I mean, not for snake bites or anything. I doctor all my. I've only lost one dog to a snake bite, but she was already 12 years old, 13 years old, and she was bit in the leg, not in the face. Most dogs are bit in the face and they live through it.
Mm-hmm.
What are you shaking your head no for, Benny?
Because the vets don't give you any guarantee, and a lot of times your dogs will slip all their hair and they'll be bald for the rest of their life and they'll be crippled, and you can do it yourself and come out 100% guaranteed and never lose any hair.
Amen, Benny.
Mm. You mean for the snake
Keep
bite?
everything in Brett, you can keep everything in your saddlebag.
Benny, I just said, weren't you listening? I just said that I never take a dog to the vet for a snake bite.
Oh, it's getting grumpy time. It's night.
Yep, they're sleepy. They're sleepy, Chris.
No, I get
Wayne
that,
Bisbee
Brett,
said
but
good night, guys. It's time to go. If Wayne
No, I
Bisbee
get
says
that,
good night,
but there's so many people that do take their dog to the vet, and I've even said, hey, this is how you can take care of it, and they say, I'd just as soon take it to the vet. It's like, really?
They probably go to the doctor
That's
for a runny
messing up more
nose.
dogs in the heel.
I can't
And I'm real
remember
particular.
what I took
I'm
my
real
dogs to the
particular
vet
about taking
for.
a dog to a vet. You know, I'm not taking a dog so that I can send that vet's family on a cruise. I'm taking a dog because my dog's worth saving.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Amen.
I was trying to think of what I took. I know I've taken my dogs to the vet before, but I can't remember what for.
Parvo. Look at that. So that's a big argument. It's parvo. I've been in some ridiculous, huge arguments about parvo because the way I do it, maybe no one likes, but I do get this stuff from the vet. They give me an IV bag. They shoot some B12 in it. They shoot some other stuff with a bunch of vowels and consonants that don't rhyme. So, and I juice them up, but I don't feed them for 3 or 4. I don't feed them for 3 days. I just put
Really?
this under their skin. Yes, I
What is
put it
the
under
no?
their
What is
skin
the not feeding? What is that?
because they won't throw up. They won't dehydrate themselves by throwing up.
Oh,
Okay. So,
that
and
makes
they're not
sense.
going to die. I'm pumping them full of stuff under their skin. I'm talking baseball stuff. This stuff is like, I call it the juice. It's fluorescent green. And I got so much in them, they're pissing green.
It's not good,
That's
huh,
how
Benny?
it's
Fluorescent green.
absorbing. So, and then at the fourth day, I feed them.
You ain't out of them yet.
I'll give them water. And if they throw up after I give them water, I'll cut their food. I won't feed them again for another 3 days. And I'll keep them juiced up. I'll do that until they don't throw up. But they have all the vitamin and stuff they need when I'm getting them. So, and the only time I used to never lose a dog to parvo until this huge, ridiculous, nasty strain came around, and it just would wipe them out quick.
You're up,
And then-
Benny. You're up.
Here we go.
Shed your wisdom on the crowd.
I keep DMSO, and I keep oh crap, what's that stuff?
Dexamethasone.
Benadryl.
Dexamethasone.
Dexamethasone.
And yeah, dexamethasone. And my dogs average 40 pounds. And so if I got a snake bit dog, first thing I do is I get that DMSO, and I say they got bit on the leg. I would rub that DMSO from their toenails to their shoulder and up in the side of their body and just saturate them. And people say, well, that DMSO, it's a systemic. And they say, well, you can it'll taste like licorice, or it'll taste like onion or garlic or something. I never did. It doesn't affect me, so I'm not queasy about it anyway. But it dilutes the poison and it spreads it over a bigger area. And then I would give them 2 cc's of dexamethasone, and I'd give them that dexamethasone every single day for 5 or 6 days. Dexamethasone is a steroid that assists in swelling. So to keep it from swelling is bad. And then when you get one bit on the face or something like that, that's real important. I've done it to the horses too, because a horse, that retard, puts his face down there to see what that noise is and takes it right in his breather. But then when I get home, I give them 10 cc's of penicillin. I want to shock them with penicillin.
Like you need a mule, Benny. Other than the boneyard.
But then the penicillin, I give them an overdose the first time so that it shocks their system and gets a hold of that poison. And from that day forward, for the next 5 or 6 days, I would go down to 5 cc's of penicillin, 2 cc's of dexamethasone, and continue rubbing that DMSO all over them, wherever that bite was. I had a dog bit between the eyes. What's that? I had a dog bit between the eyes, and I put the DMSO from his nose to his shoulders.
I never did the DMSO. I did what I did was 3 cc's of Dex, 3 cc's in the muscle, 3 cc's under the skin the first day, and then 3 cc's under the skin for the next 3 days. And I mean, I don't even know how many I've had bit, lots bit. I lost Susie, but I lost her like a week and a half later, and it might have been anything. I mean, she got bit in the leg. She was doing better, and then she just one day she died. So she might have just died of old age too. Might have stressed her system a little bit. She was an old dog, 13 years old. So, you know,
Well, and
not
Brett, the
not
reason that I
Susie, not
just
Susie. It wasn't Susie. It was Dadgum, I can't remember her name now.
Susie was that black dog from Texas.
Yes. No, this was that white dog that was out of Hoover, and she was a good dog. She was a. Oh well, don't matter.
The reason that I put penicillin in the mix is because you can get an infection, an internal infection that you're not aware of.
I have an antibiotic now that the vet gave me that I forget the name of it, that doesn't have to be refrigerated, that you can carry with you in your saddlebags. Can't remember the name. I can't even remember my dog's name right now. I'm having memory problems.
Said talking about that green soup.
Yeah. So anyway, Chris, your lips are moving, but there's nothing coming out. I didn't mute you. You're not muted. You are muted. How did you get muted? I didn't push that button.
Good call, Brett.
Those UFOs.
It won't unmute him. You must have said something. Oh, guest has muted themselves, is what it says.
I carry penicillin.
He's got too many
bag,
buttons on the microphone.
3 cc's above.
Now it says you're not muted, but I can't hear you. You must have said something Elon Musk doesn't like. Shut off your Starlink.
UFOs.
Well, maybe that's a sign. Shut this puppy down. Thanks, everybody, for coming by. We had our new guest. Jeremy, what's your last name, Jeremy?
Purvis.
Jeremy Purvis, Louisiana Hunting. He's always in the chat, has his own YouTube channel, runs Coons in the swamps. You run in the swamps?
And the dry ground.
And the dry ground. Got to put that dry ground so Benny will think more of you.
I don't think any less. I just want people to go out there and utilize their dogs and have fun doing it.
Just go out there and have fun. Chris?
I'm going to bring you these wet dogs out here to Arizona and mess with Chris.
There you go.
Watch.
If you're going to do that, you can spend the night at my house as long as you bring some crawfish.
They're too high. I can't afford them.
I'll send you some money in advance.
I'll even cook them.
Man, howdy.
Bring 'em live.
You going to come over, Brett?
Yes, I'll be there for some.
A crawfish boil with some little potatoes and some corn and
I never will forget. I was down in Louisiana, and we were down in Shreveport. There you are, Chris.
It switched to some communications microphone. You guys thought you just shut me up, didn't you?
I was just in the middle of the stair, and I got to finish my story here. And I was sitting at this big table, and this was fancy. And they brought they called them mud bugs. They brought those mud bugs out. And it was on a big old tray. And I'd never ate crawdads before. And this was pretty fancy people here and everything. And there's this beautiful lady sitting next to me. And she was wearing a dress and just beautiful. And I looked like that, and I said, how do you eat these things? And she looked at me, she smiled, and she said, You eat the tail and suck the head. I looked at her and I said, what? And she went like that. I said, man, I don't know if I can do that. But boy, they could go through those mud bugs there. Guaranteed. Everybody's kind of quiet now. Sorry. Did I shock everybody?
I'm hungry.
Now, you told me that Toledo Bend story before.
Yeah, I used to go down to Toledo Bend Reservoir. Did I tell you that story before? I had
Chris is live.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
one of those other things I don't remember.
That's all right.
What you say, Benny's
Alrighty.
older than you?
Benny's older
Yeah,
than
I'm
me?
older.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know, a lot older than I am.
Decade or two.
Look at him.
He ain't as old as I thought he was.
He has a
looks
filter
old.
on right now.
Yeah,
He has a filter on his phone, makes him look that young.
Yeah, that's not how he really,
Okay,
really
he's on
looks.
Snapchat.
That's how he really looks.
There he goes. There's his real age.
Oh, jeez. All right,
I'm
guys.
64.
I'm 62. Chris is
49.
49. How are you?
49.
How old are you, Jeremy?
41.
It's just a baby.
I can
right,
remember
guys.
back then, but I don't think Brett can.
2 years, got him.
Bits and pieces. All right, guys. I'm going to have to do a lot of editing on this thing before anybody.
Yeah, you bet.
W
Good
Hunting
night.
Supply is not going to take it. I know already. We went way off this everything here. All the
Yeah.
guys in the audience, is that what you call it? Hey, we
Yeah.
still need a name for this. We just call it Monday Night Live. Is that good enough?
Yeah.
Everybody,
Good.
the Houndsman XP, have you ever seen all their podcasts? They got all these fancy names for everything. We don't have nothing.
Why
And
be
then-
fancy, Brett?
Huh?
Why be fancy?
Well, I mean, I think we need to identify ourselves somehow. I mean, you got what's the dogs are treat or whatever.
Joy. You got the Joy one?
Yeah. but
What's his podcast? Living with Joy or what is it?
Fueled by joy.
Fueled by
Yeah,
joy.
Fueled by Joy. Yeah, that's a
got-
cool name.
Then the
All right,
words-
so, okay. Augustus McCrae.
what was
It ain't
this?
about living.
It ain't about dying. It's living.
Well,
I'm
that's
talking.
right.
It ain't about
Mhm.
dying.
There you
I'm
go.
talking about. It's about living. Yeah, we got to think of something. I mean, like, I was going to look this up. Listen
Need
to
to
these
kick a
names.
pig. Kicking a pig.
Kicking a pig. Kicking every Monday night. Kicking a pig.
Maybe
We got to
be
think
thick
of
on a pig.
podcast.
Stomping a pig. 2 fingers.
See, this is the Houndsman XP on their network. They changed over. They got their own network now, and they're going to have a bunch of different podcasts. So they've got All Mixed Up, The Journey, The Dogmen, and Falconry Chronicles. They're going into the falconry stuff. And what do we have? Monday Night Live.
Stomping a pig.
Stomping a pig.
With 2 fingers.
Pig stompers.
We need everybody. I tell you what, how many? We got 63 people here. Tell anybody. Give us suggestions.
Stomp 'em around here, Benny. We stick them.
Anybody who gives the best suggestion that we all decide we use, I'll send them a free tumbler. It's a Born 100 Years Too Late sticker, but it's a tumbler.
Benny used to have one that you drank
you-
out of. I don't know where it
He
is.
used to advertise for me. Now
Yeah,
he
he
got
was
mad at
representing a
me.
lot.
I know. Now he's not.
Probably has a Houndsman XP one right there or something. That's why he had took a
Probably.
drink. That's why he keeps getting up and
Or an
leaving.
antidote of a houndsman.
No, my coyote dog was raising Cain. I was hoping there was a coyote out there, but no.
And then they all have these fancy intros. Lonesome Hund Hunters. Hund Hunters.
Hund.
Hound. I think he forgot the O.
Probably so, Brett. They're from up north.
What else? What else? What is Stephen Fielder's podcast called?
Raised by a hound dog? No.
There was somebody had one called Raised by a Hound Dog, wasn't there?
No, that was Advance.
Oh, that's his book, yeah.
Trained by a hound.
Trained by a Hound Dog. That's Advances. Trained, raised.
Steve Fielders was.
What is Steve Fielders?
I can't remember.
It's on. W.
DU.
Gone to the Hounds. That sounds like
Gone
isn't
to
there
the
a
Hounds.
to the
That's
Hounds.
it. That's
Oh,
it.
Res Hound.
That's it. And then you got what's the other tree dog? What's the other guy? He has his own.
You
Tell
name
me you
it,
put
found a
on-
lose.
You
name it, found a lose.
Found to lose.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
You always talking about your dogs found a lose.
No, it's not found a lose. They had a lose.
Or had a lose.
They had a lose. No, that's. I don't want to reinforce that.
It's like possums down here. We don't want to reinforce that either.
It happens, but we don't like to talk about it. Simper
Exactly.
dogging. That's another one. Simper dogging. Is that Chad Reynolds? I think I listened to him. Bear. What's Bears? What's the name of his, Chris?
Bear Grease?
No, that's Clay Newcomb.
Oh,
No.
that's the hound. The hunting hound.
The hunting hound.
Yeah.
And then most of them have some kind of intro.
You got tree
What about
talking
cat
time.
dog?
Tree talking time. What's
Mhm.
Steve Fielders? Is that his?
Is that? I don't.
Gone to the dogs with Steve Fielder.
Oh, that's it. Because he has that neat little intro where they're talking, and the guy says, "Where's Steve? He's gone to the dogs."
That's Ben Sheets.
Ben Sheets. His is Tree Talking
What
Time.
about cat dogs,
Yeah.
Brent?
Huh?
Cat dogs, Western houndsman.
Yeah, but sometimes we like to talk about aliens.
Yeah.
The Western alien houndsman.
Maybe we should just call it. It's all bullshit. It's all.
Amen.
The
big
B-
BS
the-
like
the BS podcast or the BS
yeah.
show.
right here.
That's about
The
right.
BS boys.
Rockhound.
Maybe we'll just call it Just Ask Us.
Gone to the
Rockhounds
dogs.
right here.
That's one. So who still think y'all need a Beagle cast? Yeah, we need to get Missy Fix, right?
Oh,
need
Chuck
to get-
Miller is
we need to
talking
get her
Here's
on.
crap.
to click the link.
Beagle, a waste of money.
Then we got Mountain STE. What does he mean?
STE. STD?
No, I
Chris,
thought
was you
thought.
calling your little interview with Sage? Half-ass. What?
Who?
What are we talking about?
I
am I doing?
I think these people from Louisiana speak a different language.
I think he's froze. Is he froze?
French.
Oh, he was froze. You were froze. Heads and tails.
Heads and tails. Monday night heads and tails. I'm gonna work on it. I want that Tumblr. Will you get it? Send it to.
Yeah.
Let me see. There's my email. No.
It's French. We'll come up with something.
Yeah. Chris is getting tired, I can tell.
Me,
He looks tired. He needs his beauty sleep. He's ugly as all
I got
get
up-
out.
BS with
I went
Brett.
to I
That's
went to
pretty
bed
good.
at midnight and I got up at 2:30 to come down to the valley. So
That's Tumblr worthy.
BS with Brett.
I don't know about that. I got to think about that one.
Brett and the Misfits.
Something Misfits. That Misfits.
Brett.
That sounds pretty good.
Brett and the Stompers. I am a Sholo. I live in Sholo, and I do work in the Valley, Phoenix. So, then I hunt down on I-8.
Yeah,
South
and then
of
that email there, guys. We'll see you, Calvin. Thanks for stopping by. That email right there. If you guys got ideas about what, any topics, guests, or anybody. Oh, that reminds me. I was supposed to call a guy today, and I forgot to. Larry Abbott. Do you guys know him?
Mm-mm.
He's a houndsman. I was supposed to call him today. I forgot all about it. Anyway. Yeah. Or any topics or any guests that you think we should bring on?
Yeah.
Anything? We have to be kind of careful. We need to figure out a way to put people in sections, like 15-minute section here and there.
Mm-hmm.
And because if we get too many people in here at a time, we all step on each other. And Benny don't get to say nothing.
He's quiet.
Now he's glaring at me. I don't think I like that.
He was. He looked up and glared.
Bad.
Yeah.
I'll just cover him up.
Yeah. Now he's quite up. We better go.
We're too much fun. All right, guys. Thank you, everybody. Hey, Jeremy, thanks for popping in.
Yep.
Yeah.
Come back. You can get your internet working pretty good. Something.
It never works.
Well, we're trying to get it working better, and you can have a segment here. Tell us about running coons in the swamps and those short tails. Monday night dog talk. But we don't always talk about dogs. I hate to just
I think
pigeon.
that's a hint.
That's probably a hint.
Hey, we had more people on talking about UFOs at one point. It was like 90 people. And then we started talking about dogs again. And everybody left.
And lost it.
We lost all our alien friends.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go out and film some UFOs and send them to you.
Yes, Chuck. Not Casa Grande, between Casa Grande and Gila Bend, past Stanfield. Looks just like Brett's area where he's at.
Hey, Brett, I told Chris to send you a picture of that Garmin holster.
Yeah.
If you want one, I'll send you one.
Cool. Yeah, I got one that a guy sent me that I carry on my saddle. Has a brass snap on it. I carry it right on the front of my saddle. But yeah.
This one is a leather version of the FH Gear Garmin holster.
Really? Cool. Be neat.
Yeah. I didn't even get to talk about my Garmins. Love them.
I put his brand on his, so it's taken, so I can't mail it to you.
They'll scratch it out with a marker and put yours on it.
It'll probably wear off, I told you were a test dummy.
Guinea pig test dummy.
I've had mine for like a year and a half, and I hadn't wore it out yet.
Nice.
Monday night hound talk. Monday night straight talk, where nothing is straight. That's about true.
Monday night hound talk with Benny and the gang. They just wrote you right out of that one.
Benny and the gang. Yeah.
They wrote Brett right out of that one.
I know. Shoot. Oh, well. It's not about me. It's about the good guests I can get.
Yeah. Tell us what we're doing next week, Benny. Take it away.
Benny's about the best one, Brett.
He is. He just sits there. He has that look on his face.
He has some good stories, eating the spear.
If we could just get him to tell us.
I've never believed in letting the truth get in the way of a good story.
I was going to say, if we could just get him to tell the truth.
According to the Farmer's Almanac, the truth can run around naked.
Twin. Oh, we'll think of something. I got that email. Send me the ideas. Anyway, thanks everyone.
Hey, I think we should talk about wounded dogs next week, because coons can hurt dogs, and lions can hurt dogs, and bobcats can hurt dogs, and bears can hurt dogs, and hogs can hurt dogs.
Cuda Monday.
Oh yeah.
Skunks.
Javelina.
Oh yeah, javelinas in this area. Javelina are a big thing of it.
Yeah. Here, the closest thing I got is some cough syrup with codeine.
That's there it is. It's the codeine. That's what it was tonight. No wonder he's so calm.
All right. I never did find my picture of the weird thing that I found out in the woods. I never did find it. It's scary too. This is all going to be edited off anyway. But I never could find this picture. Oh, there it is. I found this out in the middle of nowhere. And you don't realize it, but when you find something like this, it's spooky. I mean, it gave me the creeps. Let me see if I can figure out how to add this. Hold on, guys. Be patient with me. Look at that.
It's a Chucky dog.
I don't know. I'd never seen one before, and I found it way out there in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, it's a Chucky doll without the red hair.
Exactly. It's still falling out. Kind of like Benny's and mine.
I didn't like it when I found it. Out in the middle of nowhere. Who takes something like that out there and pulls it all to pieces and sets it in the ground?
Illegals.
Anyway, guys, thank you. We better go. We're out of here.
Hey, Brett.
Yes, sir.
If you want some first aid talk for next week, I got some good stories. So.
Okay. Benny's doing somersaults over there.
I'm out.
All right, guys.
Thank you, Benny.
Guys.
Talk to you later.
Next Monday.
All right.